What's going on? 6 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. A little bit of news from the NFL League meetings in Nashville. Pittsburgh will officially host the 2026 NFL Draft. The NFL is going to test an electronic system for measuring first downs during preseason games this summer. And Roger Goodell thinks Nashville would be a good spot for a Super Bowl.
I think the stadium is going to be amazing. We know the passion of the fans here. We experienced the draft here. And I think a Super Bowl here will be very successful, but we'll get to that once we get a little further down the line with the stadium.
Vols take a tough loss against the Commodores, 13-4. SEC tournament continues on today. Vandy will take on Mississippi State 30 minutes after LSU South Carolina concludes. And the Vols taking on Texas A&M 30 minutes after Arkansas and whatever the hell game they're in concludes. I did not write it down, so don't expect me to know that. NBA, game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Ant wanted Kyrie. Well, he got it. Kyrie and Luka combined for 63 points on the night. Mavs struggled from 3. Minnesota kept it close but did not get enough from its stars. Mavs take the game 108-105. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
$6 a.m. and ready to go on a Thursday morning edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast, 615-737-1045. How you can join Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer, myself, Will Bowling. The SEC tournament continues today in Hoover. Coach Mack joins us at 7:20, and we discuss Peter Skoronski, the Tennessee Titans offensive line, and the other guys that we've not talked as much about, including the guy who joined us yesterday in Lloyd Cushenberry. You're Not That Guy makes a return at 9:20. We've got 4 hours, and we have got them streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV as well. Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
What's going on? Good morning.
Were you letting him win? That's what
everyone's charity.
Charity.
Something for free
it's
today.
Thursday.
It's Thursday, Friday, Junior, whatever you want to
Exactly.
call it. Little Dog Friday is what we'll call it from out here.
Little Dog Friday.
Good.
Thursday,
Hey,
the little brother to Friday.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, man, Little Dog Friday is what we got
Junior,
going
whatever you
on.
wanna call
Junior, I was second. Don't matter,
Second,
okay?
yeah.
It's the one before this one, okay? The small one, all right? Either way.
Oh, boy.
Nope.
Cheers to
I'm
coffee
good
this
to
morning. I
go.
know it. Yep.
My tea is teaing this morning, all right? Hey, let's do it. How's everybody's day, man, so far? It's only been
Good.
like 30 minutes of being up, but everybody's good.
Speak for yourself, Mo.
No, Kayla, you got up, but now you're up,
Now I'm up,
you're
yeah.
ready to go. Like even
I
when
am.
you wake up in the morning, you shower, put your makeup on, find your clothes and all those type of, you ain't
It's
really
rough.
up. You're
No,
in
it's
zombie
rough.
mode. Yeah, you in zombie mode at that point. When you walk out of that house and like, all right, let's attack the day. Go get the money.
The
Go
cicada
get
hits
the money.
my forehead, and we're ready to go. Go get that money.
I've seen this little gif. It's like, man, I love this job, but every day I have to get in my car and say, go get the money, go get the money. I love that little animated cartoon. Have you seen it,
great.
Will? You've seen it?
I've not seen
Oh,
it.
my gosh.
That's awesome.
It is the best little gif I've seen out there. This dude is just in his car singing, go get the money, go get the
I
money.
kind of like that.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, baby, trying to get to it.
Good for you.
I'm cracking Will this
Will's
morning.
just in
I'm cracking Will this morning, man. But
surprise mode this morning. We've had so many things that we entered the studio talking about this
We
morning, so it's been fun already.
Just
We
some
have.
tea.
We've always had fun on this show. That's what I'll have to say about that. We've had fun since the get-go on this show.
just some tea. That's all, Kayla's just out here doing our
Y'all
thing.
are breaking my pet peeve of talking about things vaguely and then not actually saying what you're talking about on the radio.
We can't. Is that okay? All right, no, we can't talk about this on the radio. That's the thing, Will. That's the thing. Will, we can't talk about it on the radio.
Well,
Okay?
then don't open the door.
Just
I'll send it in my group chat.
message us, add us.
I'll add us. Either way, man. OTA is back today, right? Well,
That's right.
We just can't
Media
see
will
him.
not be there, but OTAs will be back today.
OTAs will be back today. I want to do what did they put on the Dog and Pony show whenever media show up, and then they really get down to it whenever you're not there. Yeah,
You always wonder what are the differences, right?
yeah, I do it. Yeah, we did it. That's the way it was. All right, let's put on the show for everybody. I hated in training camp where on family day they made us have the most brutal practice ever. It was goal line.
Really?
Yeah. All right, bring your families out here. Okay, let's bash your heads against each other in goal line live reps. Like it was like, man,
Let your kids see it.
yeah, how am I
Hey,
supposed
kids,
to go
watch
have a
how bad
barbecue?
dad is in a pat set
Exactly.
inside the 20.
I hated the 4-point stands because all it is you dive down and just have to play the game. It's like, all right, did we win or not? Jump over the pile, running back. Goal line day on family day in camp is probably the worst day ever, 100%.
Why is Daddy on the ground?
Exactly.
Let that boy watch.
Open your eyelids, kids. Yeah, man. But those were some of the days I hated right there, though, for the most part. All in all, yesterday not a crazy day for us either.
It rained sideways for a little
Yeah,
bit, but that was about it.
It got
So
dark.
congrats if you were dry during all of that.
Gosh, yeah, it was one of those days yesterday. By the way, you ever have like that one degenerate friend that does the most unprecedented thing? Well, that friend is Bert yesterday. We're walking down the ramp, Kayla, and you saw him.
Oh, this was good.
Couple of flying
was good.
cicadas around. Well, this orangutan, okay,
Yep.
decides to jump up in a tree and hang and shake and
Yep.
disrupt the cicadas, okay?
They
And
went flying.
I wasn't mad at him because I stumped a few or smacked a few to the ground. It was batting practice for me, okay?
You crunched
But
one?
I did crunch one. Bert tried to pick one up, and I was just like, what are you doing? But either way, I was proud of him for letting me expire a few of them, but I wasn't expecting him to be hanging from a tree.
It was disgusting,
It
too.
was
It was almost like you were spraying those guys and they were coming out, but he was just shaking them.
Yeah,
The
it
number
was.
of bugs that flew out of that tree
It was
was
nasty.
insane.
Yeah.
Like I fully expected a couple to come out, but it was
Sure.
like the plague. Like locusts were coming to devour our crops.
Was and here's the thing behind it too. Like the thing with the cicada is like they make that little sound.
Yes.
Like,
and they were doing it.
Don't save that, okay? Please don't say.
Everyone's familiar with the sound they make. We do not need the onomatopoeia.
Have y'all heard one in your car yet? You got one in your vehicle?
No, it was in my house, but
You
no,
got
not
it.
car yet. I think car's worse because it's close confined.
And they just fly blindly, man. Has your dog eaten one yet?
Not that I've seen,
Not that
but
you've seen.
I wouldn't put it past that little devil.
I had people telling me it's supposed to be good and with like protein. Like that is
Dude,
nutritious.
The eyeballs, though. I can't get over how big the eyeballs are. That is
Red
what grosses me
eyeballs.
out.
Yeah,
Shrimp and lobster look pretty disgusting before they're
Yeah,
made
that's-
available to your plate.
crawfish
very
is
true.
actually. I've been to
Snails
crawfish
of the
before.
sea.
I'm about to have some tomorrow when I go down to the Gulf, baby.
Big time right
I'm
here.
eating seafood all
How's
weekend
your
long.
weather forecast outlook looking?
You know what? I don't know why I've been taking rain with me whenever I go on vacations.
Sucks.
But I've been taking rain with me. And guess what?
sucks.
Saturday
Yeah.
and Sunday, last time I looked, supposed to be a chance of rain.
I feel
Yeah.
like this time of year, you can't look at forecasts more
Yeah.
than like 12 hours out, though,
That's a good point.
for places in the South. Because it's always going to say it's supposed to rain every single
I
time.
know. It's like, hey, guys, it's
Like if you're
okay.
more than a day out, it's going to forecast rain, and
All
that's probably
right,
not going
Will,
to rain.
you're right. Because
There you
guess
go.
what? I'm looking
cleared
and I
up.
see sunny skies,
I luck
baby.
into a correct opinion every now and then.
Let's go.
Yep.
Made my day,
now
Will.
and then, man.
Thank you.
Every now and then. Nothing wrong with that.
615-737-1045. Yesterday, Vanderbilt 13, Tennessee 4. Not a close baseball game as Vanderbilt looked the way an SEC lineup should look against a midweek pitching staff for Tennessee. We said it before the game yesterday. Would not be surprised at all if the more desperate team came out and looked like the more desperate team down in Hoover.
They
Yeah.
did. From the get-go. They showed up and showed out, man. I thought the Vols started off the first inning fine, and next thing you know, Vandy said, watch my bats do work here, you know?
They needed that, though. I mean,
did.
again, we talked about it yesterday. There's different needs for teams at this point once they hit the tournament. And we've seen 4-1 seeds now at this point.
All four of the
Yeah.
top seeds lost
Go
yesterday.
down because Texas A&M was the last game of the day, and they went down to Mississippi State, which, by the way, Jeffrey Simmons just on this. He is on this baseball tournament rooting for his dogs down there. But, yeah, so Vandy needed to get the bats going, and they started it in that last game versus Kentucky that they got, and they've continued that. And this is a chance for, like I said, some of these teams like them to get a little bit hot and get some confidence back. LSU seems to be doing that a little bit too. But yeah, and for the Vols, it's just like that's nothing to worry about, and they'll play another game today.
Yeah.
So
isn't that the catch-22 behind the SEC tournament as of late? The way most coaches have somewhat played these conference tournaments is, all right, if you're the one seeder, you got really good seeding as far as the NCAA tournament. You kind of play the back seat a little bit. I'll say this. The hate and rage that these two schools have towards
it's
one another.
crazy.
I think it was kind of one-sided yesterday.
It was.
What, for
it
Vandy?
was. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just
Well,
scroll
that they
through
were
my
gonna
Twitter
do that.
mentions.
You saw it
I want
on
to congratulate
their
Vanderbilt on their
faces.
College World Series championship yesterday. If you ever wanted to know how far Vandy baseball has fallen, just read the people that were tweeting at me
Oh, boy.
and the Austin P. and Lipscomb grads that were in my mentions yesterday.
I think you should add them. Like just expose
Not
the
all of them.
Twitter too.
They don't deserve that.
I'd
not
love
on
to see
not
it.
on Wednesday night in the SEC tournament. If we get to Friday and there's a rematch, maybe there's more conversation to be had. But the word, it's really funny because Vanderbilt fans gatekeep baseball so much. If you were not watching in 1974, which they also forget they sucked back then until Tim Corbin got there. They have zero history before Tim Corbin, but they still like to gatekeep a sport that most of the conference enjoys, that really all of the conference enjoys, really, in college baseball. If you weren't watching in 2003 when David Price was still a middle schooler, you are not allowed. And then they forget that Wednesday SEC tournament games are really not something to celebrate very much.
Also, an interesting note on that: Vols won the year before last. Vandy won last year in terms of the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
Both of those teams, when they won the SEC tournament, went on to be eliminated in regionals. So, which is interesting. I'm not saying that's a pattern, but it's just anything
Since
can go.
COVID, it seems
4 in a
to
row.
be a pattern. Yeah.
4 teams in a row did not make it to Omaha after winning the SEC
Yeah.
tournament. It's definitely not super encouraging that Tennessee's midweek pitchers couldn't get any outs. It's not like Tennessee was trying to lose the game, but Tony Vitello said, if you were paying attention to what he said earlier this week, the biggest thing we want to achieve in Hoover is figuring out what we have in some of our pitchers that have not gotten a lot of SEC innings. And 6 of the 8 pitchers they used yesterday have pitched 5 or less innings at SEC play.
Yeah.
So for all the Vandy fans, no, you're just making excuses. You're coping. No, I'm literally just listening to what the coach said. I had Jack Gentry of A to Z Sports, who's a very smart guy, tell
He's a
me,
Vandy guy.
oh, Tennessee put in their high leverage arm. One of the high leverage arms they put in has pitched 2 innings in SEC play all season. We just have a fundamental misunderstanding of what high leverage means.
I just think this
at that
is
point.
you
You're
can't-
smarter than that.
Yeah,
Jack.
you can't really compare. My whole thing is you can't really compare any teams right now in the SEC tournament in terms of how they're going about their business because it is so different case by case. And not anybody's going to go out there and try to lose. You're right, Will. I mean, every team's going to try to win, but how they're trying to get there is different.
100%.
And not as many teams have to throw, their 1 and 2 guys right away. So, and Devin Fruchel, by the way, he was somebody who got worked back into the rotation after some
100%.
injuries. So he obviously
It was
started
necessary for him to get more reps.
Yeah, he needs to get
behind
more
it.
reps.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
I know we're about to talk about this after the break, too, a little bit. I love to hear the calls of people that want to just
I
pile
love
on.
They're not gonna
too.
call.
I want to hear them pile on just a little
It'd
bit.
be fun if we got some back and forth.
Because it's a unique rivalry now. It really has opened up a little bit more, and I like it.
If you're a Vandy fan that thinks that you know baseball better than Tennessee fans, then you can't also be just taking victory laps over Wednesday wins in the SEC tournament. But Vandy baseball is kind of like Vandy football now. If you beat Tennessee, your season is made. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. 615-737-1045, their second win out of 11 last night. We'll dive into that. Talk a little bit of NFL headlines as Roger Goodell spoke to the media about a number of things in Nashville yesterday. 615-737-1045. Thursday morning, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. 615-737-1045 is our number. Vanderbilt 13, Tennessee 4. We can dive into that. Take a look at headlines around the NFL from Nashville as an 18th game and more international football were discussed yesterday. Tennessee and Texas A&M in the losers bracket today, 1 o'clock from Hoover. How much should Tennessee fans care about that game yesterday?
About Hoover. I think just if you spent your money to go down there and understood what it was, I feel like, all right, if there's somebody upset about that, like, hey, I want your best performance, then absolutely. You have the right to say, we deserve better on that one. But if we've spoken about it, Tony V said it out loud earlier this week, and you see the actual play on the field, and you probably could just assume, hey, they want to get in, get some guys some live reps, and get the heck out of Hoover to get prepped for NCAA tournament. That's essentially what it was. You have the right to be upset if you travel down there and you have an expectation, or if you live in a world where your friends troll you for losing to Vanderbilt. Like, I get that. Those
you
things
still technically
okay.
have the advantage of as of recently.
And here's the thing about them. Two programs, Tennessee, as of late, the last few years, have gotten a world better, world's time better, just legitimately just have gotten better. And Vanderbilt, who has been good throughout the tenure of Coach Tim Corbin. I think there's a standard for one, and one is trying to reach a standard, okay? Mm-hmm. And that's the separation of both of them. I see on the timeline of Vanderbilt, people will say all the time, well, get a natty. That's right. In that sport, get a natty. And I understand the pushback and the understanding that, hey, it just means more in the SEC when it comes down to the competition. I love the fact that their players, Vanderbilt's, show it on their faces whenever they want to beat the Vols. I also love the fact when the Vols come to Nashville and they win 2 out of 3 here and they pimp a home run. That's the game to me. So as far as the fans' perspective of it, you have the right to have an expectation of, hey, winning, it just means more. Mm-hmm. Anytime you can beat down on your opponent, you do that. And I'll say this, Vanderbilt baseball did a good job of it yesterday. Will said, I was in a vehicle at the time. I must have missed that call, but they stole home, tried to steal home.
Attempted to.
Like, do it, Vandy. I'm okay with that, but understand this. The biggest goal right now has been to win the regular season. The Vols did that. Kentucky also did that too. Hey, pick your battles is what I'd say in those situations. I'm 100% all in on if you are upset about it, perfect. If you just say, hey, I know what Tony V is trying to do with this team, even better. You get ball.
So I look at the whole SEC tournament as a treat in itself, not only to go watch your team. And if your team is one of those teams that is scrapping its way into the field, right, of 64, I can see that being a case where maybe you're going really just to see your team try to make a run. If you are a team like the top 4 seeds that have lost their first game of the tournament and you're that fan base, yeah, you always want to see your team win, but you're also coming, I feel like, too, for the experience because you probably love baseball. Yeah. I mean, SEC baseball and SEC sports, they are different, you guys. There is not a tournament like this, and I've covered the Big Ten and Pac-12. There is not a conference tournament in baseball that is like this. There's just not. And next year, I'll say this, fans enjoy it now while there is double elimination involved in this tournament where you can watch your team again today if you are Tennessee. Or if you're one of these teams like Texas A&M, who is also, highly ranked, because next year is going away. It's going straight to single elimination with the addition of Texas and Oklahoma. And it'll still be good baseball, but you still have an opportunity, some of these teams, to watch your guys play again. So I think if you're a fan and you just love baseball, you probably are going there for the experience. But yeah, you always want to see your team win. In the case of Vandy, I would say this about the rivalry and why maybe we see Vandy fans kind of coming out a little more heated, a little more hostile, if you want to use that word. Because you look at this program and really in the last 10, 15 years, they have been able to stay on top in terms of baseball. And that even includes, until recently, against their what they consider rivals and you guys in the Vols, right? And so when you start to see that slip a little, and not necessarily saying it's Vandy slipping all the way.
The players,
but the Vols are also
organization.
getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of what happens in sports. There is ups and downs, and there's getting better, and you can't always say it's just because the other team's declining. So I think it's one of those things where fans are like, okay, this is what we have to hold on to. And it's a little bit worrisome right now because the Vols have shown great progression. So if you are a Vandy fan, I'm putting myself in that shoe if I were a Vandy fan, and I cover the team very closely, but I did not go to that school.
Right.
But I have connections with the players and Coach Corbin and all of them. But I will say I can understand when they see it slipping a little, they're coming out a little bit more in terms of against Vols fans and going back and forth. And it's I like it. It's a heated rivalry now in terms of baseball.
Is since you're there at their stadium, Hawkinsville, right?
Yeah.
When A&M come in, Texas A&M or Georgia or
I covered
Kentucky.
the Florida and I'm trying to think of what else I covered this season. Mississippi State series
and Kentucky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Kentucky was on the road.
Kentucky's on the road.
Yeah.
All right, when you covered them in stadium, and is it more chill for those fan bases as opposed to whenever the Vols show up?
Yeah.
It's rowdy. It's rowdy.
When I covered the Vols game on that Friday, and that was the first one I covered in person, I was like, okay, there were a lot of Vols fans
different.
there.
Really?
There were a lot of Vols fans there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there were plenty of Vandy fans that were there too, and they were loud. That was probably the best environment that I've seen this season at Hawkinsfield when it came to both fan bases.
Yeah.
But it's not like a normal SEC baseball environment because you don't have a massive student section like you have a lot of other places.
Absolutely, Will.
Behind the plate, it's more your older, long-time season ticket holders, at least in regular season. NCAA tournament, you get people that will buy in and just go see because it's the NCAA tournament, right? They've hosted a regional so many times in the last 17 years in their streak that you get a little bit of a different clientele, so to speak, at that point. Yeah. Not in a bad way. Like you get people that maybe wouldn't normally go to a game because they're going to go watch a tournament game.
Watch a tournament game. Yeah, no doubt about it. The slippage aspect of it, though, from a fan base, again, they get rowdy. And I understand that, too, because I remember it getting chaotic when the Vols football was just like, all right, what are we? Those games where we were a little bit less than as an opponent and was still losing, we heard it as players from the crowd. I just wonder, can Vanderbilt their fan base handle, like you said, Kayla, the slippage of the ropes? I don't know what this tournament is going to mean for them as far as the long span and how they're going to.
Get hot.
They could get hot, right? That's the thing about it. If Coach Corbin's technique of coaching is tried and true, and it is netted 2 World Series out of it for them, or College World Series for them, then it shouldn't be an issue. My thing is you look at just the play and just the hate that comes along with it right now because the Vols are in this spot, and I laugh because, again, to your point, this is the one thing they have dominated the SEC with. The same way I feel about Coach Saban, the same way I feel about Coach K at Duke, when the introduction of money came into it, and we know that Tony V's a guy that hits the portal often, and they pay. And that's one thing that I've said I was going to challenge Vandy fans to do. If you want to change the way your program is projected to go, then buy in. The same way we're talking about with the WNBA, buy the tickets, go to the game, support. There shouldn't be more Georgia fans in Nashville at your games for football than you are. This is one of the hottest, if not the best city until Austin comes in as far as competition of cities. And you don't support until it comes to baseball. And now that that's going on, you see the trolls on social media, you guys lose, you guys suck, well, get a natty. Well, that's the thing about it. You can be one of those programs if it's sustainable. Alabama was very sustainable. Georgia's looking very sustainable.
And Vandy baseball has been sustainable, and it's still sustainable, right?
And I don't know what their NIL situation is as far as baseball goes and how Coach Corbin wants to go about it, too.
Coach Corbin he's kind of built that program in terms of money coming in. That's all because of coach and former players.
But when it breaks down to how a fan base is supposed to support in today's game until something changes, either you get very financial, meaning NIL, transfer portal, or you lose traction.
It's changing.
You lose the one thing that was yours.
Every sport's changing. Every single sport is changing. And you saw Saban. Saban did enough until he felt like he didn't want to do it anymore. So you saw him get out. And I don't think if Dabo doesn't change, I'm talking about football.
Oh, yeah,
obviously.
definitely.
If he doesn't change, you guys, I'm sorry. I don't think he's surviving
So
there.
There's a lot of parallels between Clemson football and Vanderbilt baseball. There always has been. Tim Corbin, infinitely more likable to, I think, the neutral than Dabo Sweeney is, to be fair.
Yes.
But I've always thought of Vanderbilt as the Clemson football of college baseball. A very, very good program that had sustained success under one head coach, got a couple of national championships, and put themselves in the conversation every single year. If you're looking for the Alabama football, that's LSU. LSU baseball is the equivalent of Alabama football, or at least the closest thing to it in SEC baseball. For me, sticking to the facts of the way Tony Vitello said all week he wanted to approach this tournament. He was asked in the teleconference on Monday, I believe, about what he wanted to accomplish. And he said, I want to have the pitching sorted. You want to use a certain amount of guys and get them action. Guys like Dylan Loy started a game for us at some point, but time will pass, and you want them to stay in somewhat of a rhythm, but it's also an imperfect time of year, so they need to be willing to go at any time and take on whatever role, which is literally something comes up where it's the first time they've done it all year. Tennessee was throwing guys into a situation yesterday where it was the first time they had been on the mound in that situation all season. Yes, Nate Snead is a terrific relief pitcher, the transfer out of Wichita State. You asked him to start for the first time yesterday. It's not an excuse to say that. You can argue whether or not Tennessee should or shouldn't care more about the SEC tournament. It's not that they were trying to lose. Their priority, though, was to get guys in situations they hadn't pitched all season. So Vanderbilt fans, take the easy win on social media and troll and take your victory lap. Great. That's what SEC sports are about. I have no issue with that. Just be ready for the ensuing response when you probably go out in the regional again and Tennessee's still playing in Omaha.
And look, I don't want to say this is that I don't think it's fair to say it's an easy win for these players. I mean, these players are working their what's off.
Absolutely.
I mean, Alan Espinal with 2 home runs trying to rally this team when it's needed, because the momentum had been, in my eyes, lost a little towards the end of the season. Those guys are getting out there and they're getting the job done. So for the players, nothing is easy, but yeah, it's just, I think you can't compare these wins right now or losses in the tournament because everybody is doing it their way and they have a reasoning behind that.
There's a reason why all 4 of the top seeds lost yesterday, and many of them in convincing fashion.
So yes, no doubt about it. Who was it? Kentucky lost 11-0?
11-0
in 8.
Mercy ruled.
11-0.
Might as well get out of there in 8.
Yeah.
If you're going to get mashed like that.
Yeah.
So to get back to the conversation too, just about what do you have to do to sustain in today's game? And a lot of it's based upon the fan base.
Depends on the sport, depends on the market, depends on the boosters. So I think there's a lot of variables there.
So the last part that you just mentioned, the boosters. So a small conversation. We did this, I think, a week and a half ago about Coach Corbin. But I remember specifically in Coach Fulmer's tenure, like, all right, there was conversation about boosters. There's conversation about winning. There's conversation about change. And eventually those negative voices get louder. Eventually that crowd adds a person or two, especially when you lose too. Like the Vols were at the time when I was in school when we was losing to Bama. Couldn't get Georgia consistently. We lose a phantom game on the West Coast all the time. I don't want to call it a phantom game. We got our butts whipped on the West Coast, okay? And then all right, are you going to adapt? And then you hire a guy like Dave Clawson. Well, no, you bring in Coach Cutcliffe, and then you win, and he leaves. And then you have to make another change with Clawson to try to revamp and change yourself around. And next thing you know, those legendary coaches find their way out because of those voices from the boosters or whoever else. I'm with Will, and Will said it, and you said it too, Kayla. He's the best thing that happened to that university in current times at Vanderbilt as far as prestige, winning championships, and a following. But the idea of the regular season having to reset itself and you find ways to compete so that this fan base will settle down, I think it does matter. We talk about you can't tell a fan how to fan out all the time. I buy tickets. I support you guys. Eventually, those types of fans will gain more traction if it doesn't change. Now, again, if he goes on deep and make it into Omaha, so be it. But as it stands right now, the celebration of beating the Vols in a game in which Coach Tony V said, hey, I just want cleats in the dirt and live reps. That
word
right
for word,
there is that's where it starts to change. It's not that they laid down, but if you watch that game, and I watched a good bit of it on TV, the pop outs that they were having the errors that they had throughout the game was just really telling that, all right, we're just trying to get out of this with some live reps. In that case right there, the standard of Vanderbilt of beating us down 13-4, it was met. But the circumstances kind of did it for me a little bit.
I just think if you're a Vandy fan right now, this is my advice. And I say this because I actually do love these players. Like, they are great people.
No doubt. You're around
great people. And I just would say, just root for these young men to, like, go far. Like, it's not, like, at this point of the season, root for your team to get these dubs. And that's what it's about, just making your team better at this time of year. Like, to me, this is the regular season's done, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, you played the Vols again, and yeah, they're your rivals, and you always are going to get a little feisty about it. But just root for your team right now. Like, worry about what your team's doing and how they can get better. I think that's great advice for every team right now that's trying to battle through the SEC. Dude, the SEC is hard. It is such a good conference, you guys, and it's only going to get better. Like, it's tough to win it. I'd put every team in there almost in the NCAA tournament.
You say, like, just root for your team. I've lived that world, Kayla. Those fans that root for you are the same ones that want you kicked out. They want you to break a leg. They just want to win.
It's the same fans that if Vandy football goes 1-11 and the one wins over Tennessee, it's a successful season.
Yeah.
It's the mentality you saw last night on a Wednesday night win in the SEC tournament. I love it. It truly just means more, Ramon Foster.
It does mean more.
It truly does.
But I want to see him sustain it.
Gives us something to talk about in the middle of May.
Oh, yeah.
I do. Legitimately do want to see them sustain it. So whatever they got to do to finish that stadium and get more NIL, do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
615-737-1045, an 18th game and optical tracking for yardage. We got that for you. Some NFL headlines next. Thursday morning, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW, brewed up by 8th and Roast. And Adam Schefter is saying there are major changes that might be here sooner rather than later in the National Football League. Roger Goodell saying yesterday, I think we're good at 17 games now, according to ESPN. But listen, we're looking at how we continue. I'm not a fan of the preseason. Goodell says, I don't think we need 3 preseason games. I'd rather replace a preseason game with a regular season game any day. That's just picking quality, right? Says if we got to 18-2, that's not an unreasonable thing. Adam Schefter on his podcast says, I think we're going to eventually have one international game for every team every year as a part of an 18-game season. How do we feel about that?
Start it off, Moan, because you were a player.
Yeah, this one's unique to me. Him saying we don't need the preseason games lets me know that you're disconnected from the actual product, meaning the players. There are a lot of guys that have to play themselves onto rosters. There's a lot of guys that have to practice themselves onto rosters. Best way to evaluate guys is to put them in live settings. I've seen guys be trash in practice and go out and have amazing games and consistently have amazing games because of live reps. And so that, to me, taken away from it, as an undrafted guy myself, I'm not a huge fan of it. Here's the thing about Roger Goodell's talking about quality. Well, quality in the preseason boils down to this. Have it to where guys either get paid a little bit more in the preseason games, or you look at it and you say to yourself, well, make the roster bigger. Those are 2 ways to supplement quality as it pertains to getting more games, and it's in his interest. Roger Goodell, the NFL commissioner, for all of us as fans of the game too, to have more games that pay money. The 18th game is better than the 3rd preseason game because why? It's live. They can sell it. It makes more money. That's the answer behind his answer on the statement that he made. If I can sell to CBS, etc., right? Monday Night Football, hey, I have an extra game on the plate for you.
Right.
And they just charge Amazon how much for the Christmas games? I mean, $150 million or something like that. Like, that's what it does whenever it's live. Like, nobody wants to go to the exhibition if you know that guys that know they're not going to make the rosters out there, or that none of the vets are playing. So make the rosters bigger. They have to if they go to the 18th game.
In your opinion, do you think those preseason games do more for the players or they do more for the teams? Because I know a lot of teams that they're evaluating other people play preseason games. They're looking at other talent. Like, who do you think gets more out of those preseason games?
It truthfully works for both. The teams can put in stuff and try to look at what works for them in games and live reps, but it's also to the players. I'm very pro-player when it comes down to how we are evaluated and allowed to make an income, too. Because you got to think about it. If you cut down my opportunities to display my talent in real time, then what is my career? We're already talking about the AFL is having bad issues right now with their play, Arena Football League, and the UFL is also, viewership is down. There's no league to grow.
Right.
You got the NFL or nothing else, and I get it. It's not a monopoly. It's just good. There's no farm system behind it. So if you don't expand this roster for guys that can make it and give them the ability to have live reps in stadiums, because there is a difference from practice time to actual play time. It's just a difference. And yeah, Bert, to your point, there's scouting involved in it too. I think if you shorten it, it somewhat messes up the entire ecosystem of what the NFL is as far as quality too. That's how you find yourself in situations where Dennis Daly, you end up trading for him because you don't understand what his actual real tape looks like, right? Those are the things that happen in these types of situations when you shorten the uptick to understanding, like, this is the kickoff of the season and guys have to gradually get better. Nobody's great at football on day one, period.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason why preseason games were implemented in the first place. I mean, this was a chance at least, and it's evolved over the years. Now we're seeing more joint practices, and we could see a lot more of that in the future, but nothing compares to real game action. So there's a lot of the talk about if you eliminate preseason games, even for first-year head coaches like Brian Callahan, I wonder how much they look forward, I should say, to having these types of games to work with their new personnel or to mix around some things or to try some things out. And not everybody plays in preseason games that's a starter. I think with Mike Vrabel, we saw a lot. It was the opposite. We didn't see a lot of the starters. But for a guy like Brian Callahan and some of these new coaches, maybe they still want a preseason game or two to be able to do that type of stuff. And then once the season starts, it's easier to kind of ease your way in. I'll say this too, why I don't like the additional 18 game. At some point, when is it going to stop? I mean, I could see this every 3-4 years. Okay, now we're going up to 20. Like I'm serious. It's going down the path of when is enough, because you're lining the wallets of these owners essentially. And I know like players essentially will get paid more because they're playing another game, but I also look at that as a little bit watered down product. And that's not benefiting the starters to eliminate preseason games that don't play in those. You're going to play in 18 games now, and a lot of them aren't playing in the preseason.
More exposed to injuries in that sense right there. The watered down aspect of, I think the NFL viewership is going to be as high as it's ever been. The fans, I think, want it, but to me, it does come back to the players too.
That's what I'm siding with more.
It does come back to the players, the opportunity to earn, and also too from the coaches. The coaches want to see those live reps. It's way different on the NFL than it is in college too, because again, you can project a guy to be good in high school because he's a 5-star, but there is only 256 draft picks at around that number, and that pool of draft picks is small. So as it pertains to evaluating over 1,000 guys in the offseason to try to figure out if they fit into your team, sometimes you cut short by eliminating preseason games. Mm-hmm. And then what are you supposed to do? Add more practice time?
There is a law of diminishing returns here where at some point you will water down your product so much that guys will start getting hurt and the games will start meaning less and less. We're not at that point yet, but I don't know what that number is, where the point of games and the quality of the league starts to dip. But with the lead that the NFL has on the rest of all of the sports that are competing with them for eyeballs, they can do whatever they want, and we're going to sit there and watch it. And they're going to make money in the process, and now they're just going to make more money and extend their lead on the NBA and Major League Baseball and everyone else who's setting up shop in the United States.
One more question. If you're a player, what would you want out of it then if you get the 18 games? What would you want out of it?
I mean,
if you're the
lifetime
NFLPA. Yep, lifetime medical.
Bigger roster,
absolutely.
Too.
And that's small stuff, bigger roster, etc. I got a long list of things we tried to fight for when I was a union rep.
That's an hour conversation, not a...
They need to get it done, though, if they want to do this.
It comes back to the players, too.
615-737-1045. Your phone calls, more NFL headlines, optical down markers. Finally. We'll dive into that next.
Hey, it's Kayla Anderson with QC Kinetics. It is the absolute worst time of year to be dealing with that joint pain. None of us like to deal with that at any point of the year. And you really can't go outdoors right now if you're dealing with that, doing the things you love to do. Maybe that's taking a hike, jogging, just playing with the kiddos at the beach, let's say. Hey, listen, don't go through these summer months missing out on life. You can call QC Kinetics now. Find out how they use biologics from your own body to give your life new life, I should say, to these achy joints. QC's regenerative medicine protocols, they restore, they repair that damaged tissue. You don't need surgery, you don't need steroids, no drugs, and no downtime. This is the future of medicine. Tens of thousands of QC Kinetics patients around the country are living their best life simply because they made the call. So you can call QC Kinetics now and get started with a free consultation. Revolutionary treatments for joint pain are here. So call them at 615-249-4024. That's 615-249-4024.
What's going on? 7:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. A little bit of news out of the NFL League meetings in Nashville. Pittsburgh will officially host the 2026 NFL Draft. The NFL announced they're going to test an electronic system for measuring first downs during preseason games this summer. And Roger Goodell thinks Nashville would be a great spot for a Super Bowl.
I think the stadium is going to be amazing. We know the passion of the fans here. We experienced the draft here. And I think a Super Bowl here will be very successful, but we'll get to that once we get a little further down the line with the stadium.
Vols take a tough loss against the Commodores, 13-4. SEC tournament continues on today. Vandy will take on Mississippi State 30 minutes after the conclusion of LSU and South Carolina, and the Vols will take on Texas A&M 30 minutes after Arkansas and Kentucky wraps up. In the NBA, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, Ant wanted Kyrie. Well, he got Kyrie. Kyrie and Luka combined for 63 points on a night where the Mavs struggled from three. Minnesota kept it close but didn't get enough from its stars. Mav take Game 1, 108-105. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second hour of the show, 7 a.m. in Nashville, as Ramon, Kayla, and Will continues right here on 104.5 The Zone. And in 20 minutes, Coach Dave McGinnis joins us with traffic advice for Ramon Foster and OTA's breakdown as well. We get the latest from Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park from the coach, Dave McGinnis, in 20 minutes. 615-737-1045. How you join us? Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling, streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV. And this year, the NFL is testing optical tracking systems for yardage rulings in preseason, with the potential for full-time implementation. A source confirms this to ESPN yesterday. Gone are the days of chain gangs determining first downs, perhaps.
Ooh, that's kind of weird to even think about, right? They're almost, the chain gangs have almost been a part of the environment, right? We've seen some instances, even when they've gotten into some issues on the sideline. Yeah. But I mean, I guess in terms of trying to make it as exact as it can be, you're always looking to the future. You're always looking to better things. I mean, this is just a part of evolution, I guess, in sports and in anything we're doing. It'll be interesting to see how this is done, though. In terms of the tracking device, do we know like what it looks like, or how, is this just something that is on the sideline?
It'll probably end up being like the yellow line for first downs and stuff like that.
I think every player has a tracker in their uniform so teams can see how fast they go, how many yards they travel, and then each one of those, there will probably be one in the ball as well with the sensors around the stadium.
Wild.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I hate this.
Really?
I hate it more than anything they've done since the pass interference review rule.
I hated that one.
Because I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think they're going to use this to start rigging football.
Oh.
How are we going to know? They're just going to pull something up that they prepped an hour ago. Oh, the ball was short. No, it wasn't. It was a first down. Yeah. What do you mean? Well, the sensors say it's short. Stop it. We know what it is. It's a first down. Forward progress.
You might be on to something, man.
Think of the internet the first time Travis Kelce gets a first down call on a play that was clearly short of the first down marker. NFL capitalizing on Taylor Swift. Yeah. People are saying
People are saying, a lot of people saying it, though. A lot of people are saying
What's
it.
wrong with a little human error, too?
I like it.
I like a little human error in sports.
I don't. Where I hate human error is umpires in baseball, okay?
Let baseball do it first. If baseball goes to robot
Which
umps,
I'm not
don't you put that evil
Yeah.
on baseball either, though.
if they
I
go to
don't like
robot
that.
umps, then we can bring the robots to football. But let baseball
No
test
shot.
it out. I don't want nothing to do with it. Y'all seen iRobot?
Yes,
What
I
if
have.
they decide? What if the robot takes a vested interest? What if the robot has a gambling problem? What if, you know what I mean? How do we know?
Cooking the books out here.
I'm telling you.
Yes.
How do we know?
So if the trial goes well and everyone's on board, the tracking system will be implemented full time for the regular season. The chain gang, though, will still stay. Sources say the chains will still exist on the sideline, but they will be used both as a backup for game operations and as a reference point for coaches, players, and fans in the stadium. Essentially, the only thing that's changing is them waddling out onto the field when you need to measure. That's just going to happen like a tennis review now, where everyone's going to go, oh, hey, when it's a first down or it's not.
I don't get that.
They've been
reference right
promoted
there.
to.
Oh, my gosh.
Jeez. By the way, if you're a chain gang member, you're just promoted to the C squad all of a sudden.
No, that's
No,
what I'm
they'll still
saying.
be
Nothing
there.
will change.
Right, they'll
still
be there, but they're like back up.
they're back up for the technology.
Right, that's
I
what I'm
got
saying.
into
Nothing
the
will
chain
change for
gang
them.
That's what I'm
business.
saying. You know.
I got into the chain gang business for the glitz and the glamour to be on
Have
Monday Night
y'all
Football.
seen those guys?
No,
though?
and how much do they get paid?
I don't even know how much they get paid.
Probably
it
more than you
ain't
think.
much.
Yeah.
I would beg to differ. I think it's probably low. They're usually like respectfully older gentlemen, and I feel like they're more hazard on the sideline than
That's
anything.
what I was saying.
Like, have you seen those dudes get like tripped up on the sideline?
Yes.
Like it gets brutal for
Oh,
those
yeah.
gentlemen, man. I'm somewhat siding with Bert on this one.
Okay.
I didn't like the pass interference one because we lost the game because of it. Okay, it was a clear non-pass interference on Joe Hayden. I'm over it. I'm not over it. But it's also that situation. It was New Orleans. All right, I'll tell you guys about it later.
We do not
Please.
care.
Why do you work here?
Bert doesn't need to be involved in the conversation then afterwards.
Why do you work here? Okay, Bert, okay? All right, never mind. But what I'm saying is this. I side with the idea of the human element. So I like the idea that they have an opportunity to break in the game. That we're out there as players talking trash to one another. Hey, man, you guys suck right now, okay? You're not going to get this first down. Like, these are the things that go on as a chain gang come out there and try to move the chains and stretch the chains for a first down. I love that idea. It's going to be numerous people that have to go to the bathroom and they got to wait, okay? For they had time when the chain gang could run out there and measure the ball. Now you take that away. If this is all about speeding the game up, cool, I get it. But I like the idea of those little old men running out there stretching the chain out.
It's the drama, right? It's the drama of them running out there, stretching the chain, putting it in the dirt or in the turf pellets. And we all get to see, I mean, is there an index card that needs to separate it? Like, how far away is the football?
I like it.
I need a physical reference point. But I'm still all for this. Speed up the game.
I want you guys to guess. It is a per game basis that the chain gang gets paid. How much does the chain gang make per game?
What you think, Kayla?
I'm hearing people say it's a lot, but
How much is a lot, though?
Yeah, that's exactly my point. I would say 500 is a lot.
Okay,
Per
Caleb,
game?
500.
Yeah, per game.
500 a game.
I was actually going to say 500 per game also.
Okay.
I got 150 a game plus meal.
Some teams pay up to $150, but generally it is $75 to $100 a game.
Yeah, let the computers do it.
The heck?
I told you.
Unless
It's
you're a
less
fan
than
of the team and you're out there running the chains, you just want to watch the game.
That may be a
Yes.
conflict of interest anyway.
No,
too.
Right?
that's what happens. It's
Exactly.
local people that are there watching
That's
the games.
wild.
Yes, I knew it couldn't. It was way less than you thought it was going to be. Again, think about how many people that have to be employed inside of that stadium on game days.
I know, but think of how much money is in that TV deal
Truth.
at the same time as well.
I'm not lying.
Yeah.
How do you get rich? Right? You start skimping people. That's how you do that.
I'm surprised they have so many of these people
Because you want
involved.
to be in that stadium.
Yeah.
You
Oh, yeah.
want to be a part of it. You get
100%.
caught on TV. That's it for me. Like,
Same way the Packers can get people to come out and shovel snow for their stadium.
Yeah.
yeah, you want to be a part of it. It's the Bills, right? They do the exact same thing.
Jeremy on YouTube says, "Hey, well, that's still $50 an hour. $150 for 3
Right.
hours of work."
The best seat in the house, too.
That's a good
not
way to
bad.
look at it, right?
I mean, being real with you now that you start talking about it.
They're definitely there longer than 3 hours, but for the sake of conversation, yeah, sure.
They get a box lunch at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Many marriages have been torn apart. Will you stop going to that stadium? They don't care about you. You have kids. He's like, that chain needs me, honey.
Putting your body on the line.
You see what happened last week when I wasn't there? No, what happened? They've lost 5 in a row, okay? Lost 5 in a row.
You
now.
need me on that chain.
It is. The NFL employ a lot of people, but I get it. The accuracy of it, people who place bets, the efficiency of the game, I get it. This is the natural progression of it. And it's probably been in times that I've been in the games like, man, I wish they had a computer right here. Why can't they get the line right? Those are the things that we have. What you have to deal with is where's the line of gain at then? Like, does you pushing the ball out show where the microchip is inside the football? Those are the type of things you have going on now.
615-737-1045 is the number. Coming up, Titans Radio's head coach, Coach Dave McGinnis, joins us next. 7:20 on a Thursday morning. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. This music always accompanying Coach Dave McGinnis, presented by Two Rivers Ford. We are connecting with Coach Mack, hoping to have him on in just a moment. I'm hoping he has traffic advice for Ramon.
Me too.
Yeah.
On getting to practice.
Yeah, the facility.
Definitely will be necessary, needed, and wanted also. So all
Write
of those
that down,
things,
Mo, when you do that.
Most definitely, Kayla. If I just plow through one of those roadblocks, and that's a problem, okay? But I'm trying to be a respectful citizen here, so we'll see how it all works out.
Just in
end.
case you run for office or something in the future.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I will not be stopped the second time
Right.
around. That's what I'm telling you. Get me the first time, cool. Second time, no dice. Can't live that world.
As we wait for Coach Mack, Tony Pollard talked with the media this week at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park as a part of organized team activities, was asked to compare himself and Tajay Spears. This was interesting from Tony Pollard.
Personality is almost night and day. I'm more of the chill, laid-back guy. Tajay is the loud, outspoken one. On the field, we got a lot of similarities. It's going to be a nice 1-2 punch.
Similarities. Again, confirming what we knew, that similar guys, they're going to do similar things. The thing that's most interesting to me there, if you could ever find the best example of a Memphis accent, that is what West Tennessee sounds like.
Okay.
For a guy born and raised in West Tennessee who went to Memphis. I don't even mean this as a dig or as a slight. Ramon, tell me I'm wrong, that guy is the quintessential Memphian.
You hear it can get a little bit thicker.
Memphis.
If he'd have thrown a Maine in there, that would
100% right.
Maine.
Sure.
What's up, Maine?
Like every time the
if he'd have thrown that
Grizzlies
in there,
win a game in basketball, the Zone will tweet Maine, M-A-N-E, and try to be the same way for some reason.
Memphis different, man. Yeah, but he's Memphis to the core, though. Gotta love it. You hear it in his voice. It's slow,
Sure.
drawn out, speaking like that's Memphis to the core, man. Absolutely love that. And also Memphis Stater, too. Well, University of Memphis.
Thank you
Yes,
for
he
that.
is.
Yeah, Memphis Stater.
Thank you for throwing in
Memphis
state.
Stater. It is interesting, like his personality. Now that you bring that up, and he's like, I'm more the quiet one.
Chill.
Tajay Spears is more of the outgoing one. Which I think if anybody of you have heard about, interviews with Tajay, or if you listened yesterday on the 3HL with Tajay Spears, he is a hoot.
He was
like
electric.
he
yesterday.
is a really personality driven guy, but somebody who really takes his craft seriously. I kind of like the difference in that room because Pollard was a lot more chill than I thought. I just think assuming you were playing for the Dallas Cowboys that you had to have a way about you.
big
That's
persona,
a stupid
yeah.
assumption on my part because meeting him, he is just very laid back and very chill. But I think that's a good balance.
I wonder what's this for Tony Pollard, that is. His family, I'm sure, from Memphis area. Most people grow up a Dallas Cowboys fan or as other
That's what
fan
you were
bases that
saying.
come out of there. And
100%.
I wonder how torn they're going to be, like being able to, root for the Titans too. Because
True.
a good bit of people in Tennessee are double fans. Green Bay, Dallas, San Francisco, Pittsburgh.
Got some Miami in there.
Miami's in
If
there.
they grew up in the 80s.
Yeah,
Sure.
you do some Falcons here and there, and they're also Titans fans now. Eric calls in and say that all the time,
Yeah.
right? So I wonder how many double fans he have in his family now.
So Brian Callahan, when he spoke to the media the other day as well, talked about the running back position specifically and the fact that he is as excited about that as he is any other position on the roster right now.
That's a good question. I think Tajay's got a little bit a different route running ability, and Tony's he's a smoother runner. They're both really explosive. Those guys are the ones I'm probably of all the groups that we have, I think those guys are the ones that are the most exciting for me. Just all the different places you can put those guys in the formation, all the different ways you can get them the ball in the screen game, in the passing game. Really, really excited about what they've shown so far. Those guys are two really fantastic players. I'm happy we have those guys.
I'm going to make a statement. I want you guys to tell me if I'm an idiot or if there's any truth to this. I will not be shocked if Tajay Spears is the Titans' third leading wide receiver in 2024. Fair?
Third leading.
That's asking him to
I could
be.
go
Behind
maybe-
Hopkins and Ridley. If Tajay
Okay.
Spears has 500 to 7 yards receiving, I will not be shocked.
I won't be shocked at that.
I'm
I will not.
gonna defer on that one.
Yeah.
I'm
Why?
gonna say at least the fourth. I still feel like there's an opportunity for Chig to be involved in this conversation. And I know there's a lot of skepticism on whether or not he'll be able to do that. And rightfully so, because he got off to a bad start last year. But I do feel like there are guys in front of him that could be potentially used just a little bit more. But I would put Tajay in that 4th spot in terms of leading wide receivers.
And that's where he was last season.
Okay.
He had 385 yards as the 2nd wide receiver with 52 receptions, 70 targets. I just think he gets way more opportunities and has a chance to maybe double that number this year in this offense, because I think he will be schemed open. I think they will literally find ways to say, how do we get Tajay Spears open in the pass game on early downs, not just on 3rd and 8 or 3rd and 15, the way it was a lot of times last season.
Under Zach Taylor and Brian Callahan, the running back has gotten about 400 to 500 yards in the season. Now, again, when they had Uzama, he was the 4th wide receiver. I mean, the 3rd and 4th leading receiver on that team.
Right,
but
the tight end.
The addition of having somebody as silky smooth, and we've heard him brag about Tajay Spears openly right now. I could see that being the case for a guy like him. Giovanni Bernard was their 4th leading receiver after A.J. Brown was down for a year or two. So, yeah, I can see a guy like Tajay who's good in the passing game being capable of doing that type of stuff. I think that's something that he wants anyway, especially with his ability for yak, too. 4th,
he can create
3rd,
things.
I mean, he's between 3rd and 4th. And I can see him getting over 500
I'm not going to predict it to happen, but I would not be surprised, at all.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like a shocker, right? It absolutely not. And I think if anything, he builds on last year in terms of that, passing game or pass catching game, because he does do it pretty smoothly. I mean, you heard Callahan talk about his route running ability there, but Pollard, I think, will get some opportunity too. So you could see that maybe not split, but I think Pollard's going to get that opportunity too.
But hearing them two speak about their on the field progress, though, Pollard, that is, I think it's unique until we see what Brian Callahan wanted, and eventually we will see an evolution of this offense. I don't think we've seen here in a while, especially out of the backfield.
Joining us now on the phones, he is Titans Radio's head coach, presented by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, Two Rivers Ford. Coach Mack, what's going on?
Hey, guys, good morning. And it's all good. Been for 2.5 days with the NFL League office going through some pretty interesting interviews with about 30 potential head coaching candidates for the future, and been pretty interesting.
Love it.
You've been busy, Coach.
Coach Matt, can you give Ramon instructions on how to drive to Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park? Because this was needed earlier this week.
Talk to Ramon, because I called him and said I wasn't going to be able to go to practice, and I couldn't think of any better proxy to go watch Callahan and then give me a good report. So go ahead, Ramon.
Coach Mack, I'm going to say this as clear as possible. I should have just broke the law, okay? That's all I'm telling you, okay? I go to the facility, Coach Mack, and there's a roadblock sign there. And then I follow the detour sign around town, Coach Mack, and it sends me all the way to Clarksville Highway. I end up over on Trinity Lane, Coach Mack. Nobody told me the navigational requirements to make it to St. Thomas Ascension Sports Park, okay? I absolutely got lost, Coach Mack. It was either, hey, plow through, okay, or go around and try to follow the law. And I went around, Coach Mack, and did not make it to practice. But everybody else did.
All right, well, first of all, it's very disappointing.
It's very disappointing. I was so upset, Coach Mack. I don't think you understand how thrown off I was. Like, it threw my entire day off, Coach Mack, because you gave me an assignment like a good coach does. I feel like I'm a good offensive lineman, okay, Coach Mack, that follows instructions well and did not in this opportunity.
Well, you are, and you've always followed instructions. You found a way to play double-digit years in the National Football League, and all I asked was that you get in your giant truck and drive to practice.
I failed you, Coach Mack. I failed you, man. Hey, listen, I'm gonna text you after this, Coach Mack, and if you can sneak me in with you today, that might be awesome. Okay, that's all I'm telling you.
Ooh,
unbelievable.
Well, it was just. I really, for the first time in a long time, and again, I've been interviewing candidates for 2.5 days, talking straight for 2.5 days with young men about their future, and I've never been more disappointed.
I know. I mean, he needs some green tea or something. Coach, my goodness, your voice is almost gone.
Well, it just hurts me. Now my heart's broken.
Yeah, he's got no voice and a broken heart. Way to go, Ramon.
Broken heart.
I love it. Coach Mack with us, presented by Two Rivers Ford. Coach Mack, for Denard Wilson, going through the process of meetings with owners here. I know Brian Callahan spoke about the value of that the other day. What is that day like for him, and how valuable of an experience for his future potentially as a head coaching candidate is this?
Well, I mean, it's incredibly valuable because, you know, these guys are recommended to the league office, and the league office, chooses these guys. And then, of course, it was really, you know, in all seriousness, it was a very insightful and a valuable 2.5 days, because 4 former head coaches, 4 former GMs, and then Michael Hugh and Rod Graves from the league office. I mean, it was really something that I think benefited all of them. There were guys up there that were in all stages of their careers, and I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a lot of work. It was very intense, but it's extremely important, because the only way for these guys to be able to get, I mean, it is not only with us, with the panel that was interviewing them, but then, you know, for the 2.5 days of being involved in all the other programs that the league had going on. And then, you know, they had a couple of occasions to be with the owners. They had a big function over at St. Thomas. I think everybody was able to drive and get over there. I'm pretty sure. I knew they were, but with the owners. I mean, it was a really insightful and a very valuable for these guys 2.5 days. You talk about and again, I can't divulge who the guys were. That's up to their clubs to put out, or for them, you know, to put it out. You know, Denard Wilson was there. Interviewed Denard Wilson at 7:15 a.m. the second day. I mean, we had interviews from, you know, 7:15 till 5:15 in the afternoon. Denard was in the very first one up there the second day. I can tell you this: Denard Wilson and did exactly the way I knew Denard Wilson would do in that interview. Extremely, extremely impressive.
Coach, what else did you take out of those NFL meetings? And we know one of the headlines coming out is possibly adding those 18 games to the schedule and maybe getting rid of preseason. You like that idea?
Yeah, well, it's going to be. And, of course, full disclosure, Kayla, you guys are going to have to tell me what the everybody talks about, because we were in a completely different area. It was at the Lowe's. And all the meeting rooms for those types of sessions, and with the commissioner and everybody else, all the featured speakers were downstairs.
Oh, wow!
They had us in 2 separate rooms in a complete area with our own program upstairs. The only time I ever went downstairs was we had a break between meetings, and I went downstairs to meet Amy Wells and Ashley Farrell, just to visit with them for a minute. But I really haven't even heard much about the agenda that went on. So tell me what happened.
Yeah, and that was one of the bigger headlines. Obviously, Pittsburgh getting the NFL draft next year. Ramon is just elated about that. But the 18 games, we had a conversation today on that. When is enough?
Well, 18 games is coming. Now, 18 games is coming because, and again, it will have to be collectively bargained with the players. This will involve the NFLPA. It will result, it has to be gone through with not only the NFLPA, but then collectively bargained for a lot of different things. When the 17th game came in, I would expect it's going to happen. It's going to happen. But the other things that will branch off from that happening, you may get a roster size increase. I mean, you may get 2 open dates. The calendar will change. There'll be a lot that goes into that, Caleb. But 18 games is coming in the future. Sometime in the future, it's coming. Maybe not near future, but it's coming.
Most definitely. Coach Mack, we discussed a little bit of Coach Brian Callahan's interview he did on the podcast recently where he spoke about coaching decisions as a head coach, Coach Mack. He spent, talking about painting, but the in-game stuff was this for me. He said in situational ball, he will have some green moments, Coach Mack. How do you deal with that as far as not being in a situation before and knowing how to navigate it? How did you in those situations or other coaches you've been around navigate being first-time guys in live game situations?
Yeah, that's interesting because when we were just going back to the interviews that we conducted with these guys, and not only interviews, it was a roundtable discussion with them too. It wasn't like hardcore just back and forth questions to them. It was enlightening them as to things that they haven't thought about yet that would come up. Now, look, Brian Callahan's thought about this. He's been involved in games. He knows what's going to happen. But as a head coach, that is part of being a head coach in the National Football League. Is you have to have a plan, but you also have to have a pivot point too, as to where you're able to pivot on a moment's notice as to things that go on. And there's always times that first things happen to you. Everybody has a first time for everything, especially being a head coach. I've been in when I got my first head coaching job. I'd been in the league for 11 years, but and I thought that I had pretty much scenarios mapped out in my mind as to how I would react to what would go on. There's always something that comes up, sometimes on a daily basis, and then in an environment that you think that you have it all figured out during a ball game. You have to be able to pivot and be able to think on your feet, and so you can prepare for a lot of things. He'll do just fine with that. But all of us that have sat in that chair, both within an organization, running an organization, and within 60 minutes of a ball game as the head coach, as a chief decision maker, all of us have gone through those first moments. And you just have to be able to react to them and use your instincts. And you have to be able also, to lean on people that you have there in your organization for the daily questions and answers. And then in the ball game, you have a lot of coaches now, and he's hired a good staff. And so there'll be things come up that it'll be the first time for him. He'll be just fine. The only advice I would ever give him, just like I gave these guys that are thinking about trying to take that next step to be a coordinator where you're wearing a hat, or where you're a head coach when you wear the big hat, is be prepared, be confident, but just understand you're not going to have all the answers to begin with.
Coach Tay McGinnis with us, presented by Two Rivers Ford. Coach Mack, at some point, let's get together, and if we can just record your voice, like on Waze, saying things like turn left in 50 feet, in a quarter mile, turn right, keep right up here. You can record people doing custom ones now.
Perfect.
Maybe if we get your voice on Ramon's navigation, he'll actually follow instructions next time. Just a thought.
First time I was driving in L.A., the first time I was exposed, years back to Waze, the voice that I put on mine was Shaq. It was beautiful.
Oh, God,
with Shaq and Waze. I would love to do that for Ramon.
Turn left, Chuck.
Won't happen
right,
again, Coach Mack. Will not happen again,
Coach
man.
Dave McGinnis, Thursdays at 7:20 here on the show. Coach Mack, thank you as always.
See you guys.
See you,
Thanks,
man.
Coach.
All right, there's Coach Dave McGinnis.
Get him some tea.
Hey, I've been in this league 40 years. I'm recalculating.
I'm recalculating.
That is so
oh,
funny.
My God.
You're going to have to pay him for that, though,
Yeah, he's definitely.
He's going to give you a price on it. Uh-huh.
That'd be a good price.
Hey, as Jeff
Sure.
Fisher would always tell me, make a U-turn.
Make a U-turn. Hey, I was going to
love
go into
it.
the water to get across it.
It's
If I go
fantastic.
through there again.
Bring your life vest.
Fantastic. Well,
Right?
speaking of Shaq, TNT, the subject of a lot of discussion yesterday, they potentially might be adding one piece of programming and losing the one that we all care about. We'll dive into that next.
Getting engaged this spring? Well, don't make her settle for one of those knockoff mass-produced rings you find at most jewelry stores. Get to Genesis Diamonds and get her that one-of-a-kind ring she really wants from a world-class designer. Genesis Diamonds has the rings on every woman's wish list. Truly handcrafted rings made here in the United States. Names like Tacori, Verragio, Henry Dowsey, and dozens more. Other stores are not even allowed to sell these amazing brands, but you can get them at Genesis. They've got all the best brands. And because Genesis is a direct diamond importer, you get the best prices on diamonds, and you can choose between natural and lab-grown diamonds also. So you get the total package at Genesis, a one-of-a-kind ring and a great diamond at an amazing value price. And remember this, unlike other stores at Genesis, there are no commission salespeople. The experts at Genesis are there to help you, not push you. Zero pressure and no pricing games at all. Genesis is family owned. They have an incredible reputation, known for doing business the right way and with honesty and integrity. Genesis Diamond, the only jeweler I recommend for quality, selection, and value. You can't beat them. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Thursday morning on RKW, and there is movement on TNT Sports. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. TNT Sports now. Do we want to start with the good news or the bad news? Start with the good news.
Let's start with the good news.
They will present 2 first-round college football playoff games during the 2024 and 2025 seasons. In addition to the first-round games, TNT Sports will add 2 quarterfinal games each year, starting with the 2026 season through the 2028 season. So TNT will be the primary network televising the sub-licensed CFP games among additional TNT Sports distribution platforms. Would you or would you not watch the Inside the NBA crew on a college football broadcast? Because I think they're going to have a lot of free time coming up soon.
100% will check that out, especially Chuck talking about Auburn football, Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to see. The only lost one might be Kenny. You know what I'm saying?
He's such a pro, though. I feel like he would...
I don't know, though. I think
find a way.
UNC's got an easier path to the college football playoff than Auburn does.
Well, there's always that, too. Yeah. Sub him out, though. I'd put Draymond in. I'd rather see Draymond football clips. Yeah. Show me Draymond football clips. If you hadn't seen them, that is a treat.
So funny.
That is a treat for you guys, okay?
I would say, first of all, before I even watch them, which I will, if that is the case, if they're incorporated, I actually need a list of where to find everything next season, because between NBC Sports, Amazon, TNT taking on playoff games, ESPN, I don't even know where to go anymore to find games, because every day I feel like there's a new entity coming out that's either switched or added. So first of all, I need a list of everything and where to go to see everything I want to see. But when it comes to that crew, if they're smart, and I don't know what will happen with this crew after they possibly move to NBC in terms of the NBA, but keep them in some capacity. I mean, the pure entertainment, at least Shaq and Chuck.
So the context behind that, the NBA is reportedly finalizing deals with ESPN parent company Disney, Amazon, and NBC to broadcast NBA games beginning with the 2025-26 season, according to Sports Business Journal's Tom Friend. That would leave TNT, who has televised NBA games since 1989, as the odd network out. So TNT's parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, has the ability to match NBC's offer, which could total $2.6 billion per year. What matching rights means, that's kind of open to interpretation. They could take legal action if the NBA's focus is simply is beyond the amount of the deal. And NBC's ability to air games on broadcast television and its proposed TV windows. There's a lot to sort out there, but essentially what you have now is the NBA on TNT potentially going by the wayside, and the best studio group in sports here and around the world, in Ernie Johnson, Kenny Smith, Shaquille O'Neal, and Charles Barkley, who likely will not be talking NBA basketball after next season in any capacity together as a quartet.
That's tough. That's such a good group. If y'all hadn't watched it, like I know a lot of people say, I don't watch the NBA. No, you need to watch the TNT crew.
I watch them, but I don't watch the NBA.
They are that good. Like legitimately, Charles and Shaq have gotten so much better. Kenny's gotten better also. And just the entertainment factor also of having Ernie there to pretty much stoke the fire is just a real good balance, man. I know a lot of people love Dan Le Batard and how his crew does stuff. Like this is the basketball sports world version of them. And how they joke, they expose themselves, they are open and honest and give good give good breakdowns on how give good breakdowns on how the game is played out, their expectation. And also I think you got to give Shaq credit too at times. He looks at the new age players and I think in a different light. Charles, I think, gives great balance and this is how we did stuff.
Sure, and he'll call out people, which is fun sometimes.
I love the openness of it. And again, like I said, how they expose themselves. Shaq, of course, and Charles in their weight. They always talk about that. I think Chuck openly admitted that he was on some type of weight loss, serum, whatever you want to call it. But I enjoy that crew. It's made me enjoy watching the NBA a whole lot more, but watching that crew stick together and how they've evolved, man. Beautiful.
What's going to be interesting in the future as we continue to see things evolve on who, picks up what rights is just the talent. Like, where is it going to be? Because when I first got in the business, it's like you signed a contract one place and you stay in that one place, and they don't let you go mess around with another place. Nowadays, you're seeing it kind of intermix. Like you're going to see guys or gals work for ESPN, but also do some stuff for NFL
Shaq,
Network.
I think, already does it.
Yeah, and so it will be. I think that's going to get even crazier because I don't think we're going to be able to say anymore, hey, that person's with this network. There's a lot of intermixing that probably will happen moving forward.
If you think ESPN talks too much basketball now, just wait. If they get even more rights to games, and you think the New York Knicks are being discussed a lot in 2024, you ain't seen nothing
baby.
yet.
Well, I'll say this about the Knicks. The Knicks have gotten more competitive and better, too. So they somewhat warranted that exposure that they're getting. But, yeah, the profile is definitely going up. It is, I don't know, it's way more entertaining than I think it has been. I think it's because it's such a big youth movement coming in, too, that these guys are playing ball. They just are playing more ball right now, and I love it.
If this TNT crew is really done, then I think they need to be Netflix next live roast, but it's the first dual roast. It is Shaq and Chuck together.
I love it.
Shaq's already done a roast. I love to see
He
this
has?
one. Yeah.
You can always make $10 million more
I didn't see
dollars.
that.
I don't think those guys would be leaving surprised at the comments they got the way Tom Brady.
Oh, no. And I think, Chuck would kill it. Everybody else would have to have a writer. Chuck would go out there and just lambast
sure.
everybody.
You know, he's 61.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charles
doesn't look
Barkley.
like it, doesn't act like it.
Chuck,
That's
I'm
a good thing.
glad to see him.
Doesn't crack.
crush it. No, don't crack. Black don't crack.
Chuck
baby.
don't crack.
Chuck don't crack. Out of Leeds, Alabama, baby.
615-737-1045 is our number. More NFL headlines as we begin the second half of the show. A couple of quarterbacks under the microscope in the AFC North, and one of those quarterbacks is a lot lighter. There's less of him to analyze. We'll dive into that next.
Hey, it's Kayla and Ramon for our friends at Window Nation. And this is the time of year as we're going to probably be turning up the AC soon. You want to keep the energy bills down. So check out your windows. Make sure they're working properly. If not, check out our friends from Window Nation because they do a great job when it comes to installing them, high quality, and their semi-annual sale is going on right now. So that means 50% off all window styles, plus 0 interest for 5 whole years. And an additional bonus if you actually sign up for an appointment this week.
No doubt, man. And Window Nation is a company you can trust. They have over 20,000 online positive reviews. Last year installed over 200,000 windows. That's 40 times more than the average window company, with 96% of them requiring no follow-up service. And that's because they're very professional. Measure each window 3 times to ensure proper fit. Kayla just told you the semi-annual sale is going on. 50% off all style of windows, 0 interest for 5 years, and an additional bonus discount for booking your appointment this week. Simply reach out to them at 866-90-NATION. Go online at windownation.com.
What's going on? 8 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Robert Walsh. A little bit of news coming out of the NFL League meetings in Nashville. Pittsburgh will officially host the 2026 NFL Draft. The NFL will test an electronic system for measuring first downs during preseason games this summer. And Roger Goodell thinks that Nashville would be a great spot for a Super Bowl.
I think the stadium is going to be amazing. We know the passion of the fans here. We experienced the draft here. And I think a Super Bowl here will be very successful, but we'll get to that once we get a little further down the line with the stadium.
Vols take a tough loss against the Commodores, 13-4. SEC tournament continues on today. Vandy will take on Mississippi State 30 minutes after the conclusion of LSU in South Carolina, and the Vols will take on Texas A&M 30 minutes after Arkansas and Kentucky wraps up. NBA. Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Ant wanted Kyrie. Well, he got it. Kyrie and Luka combined for 63 points on a night that the Mavs struggled from 3. Minnesota kept it close but didn't get enough from its stars. Mavs take Game 1 on the road, 108-105. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Second half of the show, hour number 3, off and running. Onderbone, Kayla, and Will. RKW brewed up by 8th and Roast. 615-737-1045. How you join us? The phone line's wide open to chat with Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, our producer, myself, Will Bowling. Lamar Jackson says that he wants to be more agile, 10 pounds lighter. Says, I don't really know how many pounds I lost after his second OTA practice. I'm like 2-something pounds right now. But I will just say it was important enough to be able to move around a little bit extra. That's all. How much does this move the needle for you? Lamar Jackson, lighter, perhaps by 10 pounds to begin the new season.
This is annoying. This is annoying, not just because it's Lamar Jackson getting every angle of his body photographed and videoed and then people putting captions on it. Joe Burrow has talked about it and him gaining weight and how he's a stronger player for this season, at least, until he loses the weight next year because he didn't perform as well as he did with all the weight on him. Like, this is nauseating that we are talking this much about weight. And I get it. He's a quarterback. Joe Burrow's a quarterback. They're the ones that the franchises revolve around. But can we just let the dudes get into the damn facility and get prepped for this year without looking at their body or if they have an extra body roll or one less percentage of body fat? And when the season starts, if they aren't able to perform because they either lost weight or gained weight, then we can start, having reasons why. But my God, I am sick of this crap on my timeline.
Me personally, I love it. I'll be honest with you. For the reasons that as somebody that's been in it, fans judge you on how you look often. Heck, we've been talking months about T'Vondre Sweat. So it matters. And I think when you look at guys and how you say, okay, that's an elite athlete, unless you're John Daly, okay? Like, he's a different type of athlete, all right? But as it pertains to football players, they want you to look a certain type of way and be a certain type of way. Coaches judge you on that. There are weight clauses in guys' contracts and stuff like that. So for me, I love this conversation. Plus, it gives us something to look forward to down the line when the season kicks off. I think Lamar Jackson, for whatever reason, has probably been in barbershops. I think he got locks of braids right now, so he's probably not in many barbershops. Just listen to the people that talk about the game. I know when we talk about the Ravens, like, man, Lamar looks thicker. And I thought it was for him to be able to take more hits, for him to be able to be durable throughout the season. I think that was one of the things he went into 2 years ago was, okay, he needs to put on some muscle. And I thought he did last year. Won an MVP. Did everything you needed a guy like Lamar Jackson do. I think now, with him getting more accolades, with him being in a position of being a respected, pass-throwing, athletic quarterback in the NFL, I think he had a hard reset and say, okay, screw it, I'm going to do it my way again. You look at what made him unique at Louisville. It was his ability to be agile. Mm-hmm. It was his Mike Vick-like plays that he made. It was his making people look foolish while trying to attack him, while trying to tackle him. So I think it's on par for him to say, I'm getting back to the basics. This helped me break through in the league. I'm going to get back to it. I did think last year, he was running, and I, as somebody who's never been a fast guy, okay, was like, dang, he looks a tick slower.
Sure.
And I said to myself, well, I didn't think he'd lose weight. I just thought he'd probably do more speed training. There is a night and day difference with how he looked last year versus how he looks now. I did think he was more bulky last year. Not in a bad way. Heck, he was only 220.
Put on weight for a reason.
He was only 220, whatever the case may have been. But I think now it's pursuit of championships is what he's all about. And if that means him losing 10 more pounds this offseason, I think that helps Baltimore. And if it helps his game and he's smart about it, because that's his thing. Cam Newton has gone through. Tua has gone through it. When you have mobile quarterbacks that expose themselves, you get injured if you're a smaller, frail guy.
Well, then where's the happy medium?
His happiness now to me is he's happy where he is as far as
see.
He's happy with where he is with what he think he can do with that weight.
Right.
He's a guy that's always been athletic, always been fast, and I think him trying to preserve his body throughout the course of the season is why he put the muscle on. But I think now he gets back to being the athlete Lamar.
My whole point, though, is I just don't want to hear about it exposed at this level at this point, because I'm just talking about the videos and pictures that are exposed, and we haven't even started even close to the season, let alone training camp. Like, a lot of these guys are getting back. Like, yeah, some of their weight's going to be different, but I don't think we have to pick apart what they're going to be like this season just because either they have a little weight on them or they look extremely slim. Like, it's just an overblown, I think, talking point. And we're talking about it clearly because it's out there, but I just get a little bit nauseated at it. Yeah, I understand they play football, like weight's part of it. I get that. That's not my point, though, that I'm trying to argue.
You don't like the storyline.
No, I think it gets old.
But this is what feeds the beast. This is what the NFL
I'm not saying it doesn't.
To me, all exposure, especially as it pertains to the superstars and guys we think that's going to be good, I think is a part. Even the Tavondre thing, I do like that he addressed it up front. I do think that the fans' perspective on knowing that they're athletes that they support and buy tickets and jersey for, understand that, hey, you being in tip-top shape matters. Whether you judge fairly or unfairly, somebody that's played in that position before, it's like, all right, well, watch me perform. That's where, to Lamar, I like this, that we got something to look forward to say, man, he might get back to, you got to compare him, he might get back to Mike Vick, Lamar Jackson. That's where I am with it.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, we'll see what happens from there.
Robert Walsh, your thoughts?
First off, he's Lamar Jackson. He doesn't have to be Mike Vick. He ain't never uppercutted no puppy, but I'll step off of that. He got asked 11 questions about this at media availability yesterday. I get it. I know y'all get it. It's what people are going to click on. Nobody wants to hear about him talking about how his offseason went or whatever. They just want to hear the sensationalized things. But I do think it's an interesting conversation about where he fits in, his body comp fits into how the offense runs, because he was a tick slower last year, but I think that added muscle helped him sling the ball around a little bit, step into throws a little bit. If you look, it's the most yards he's ever thrown for, not the most touchdowns, but 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, I believe is what he threw for last year. I like the way Lamar looks right now. I like when he's fluid, but there are some questions about the offensive line too. So I think the added weight, to Ramon's credit, this is something you'll be able to look back on in September, October, November and be like, well, it has really paid off. Or Lamar's taking a lot of hits. Like, he looks beat up. Like, we'll definitely be able to look back on this.
Does this make you feel better as somebody that watches him about how he will go back to being more agile? And also, did you think he was bulky last year? Not in a bad way. Like, he looked thicker.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, he was a little thicker, I thought. And it wasn't so much the way we talk about Lamar. He's driving the bus, right? He's not taking any big hits. So I don't think he needs the bulk as much as he maybe thought he did last offseason. But I also understand the precautionary piece of it, because he had trouble finishing the previous 2 seasons to him getting bulky. So that it's action and response, right? He gets knocked out of the 2 seasons, gains a little bit of weight. Maybe he feels like he's more comfortable in the pocket. I want him to be the more comfortable. I'm not going to play Madden and be like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and slide this slider up to 235 for Lamar because I want 2 battering rams in the backfield. You know what I mean?
I just remember the Kansas City game last year to where he was running, and I know he's trying to be safe with his body, but like defenders caught up to Lamar. You know what speed people, what worries them the most is when other people start like catching them. And he's a speed guy. And that's why I was just like, okay, a dude like Lamar getting caught, like I didn't think his body weight was bad. I thought it was for the betterment of his game as far as him being safe and durable. But him getting caught, I think definitely translated to him losing weight this offseason.
I think, and you could call me a homer for this. I think a lot of the stuff, he definite homer, big homer. I think a lot of him getting caught is him scanning downfield where he's making body movements and slowing his momentum.
Okay.
So where he doesn't, it's not like if you look up when they played the Cowboys, there was where a quarterback draw where Lamar just ran right up the middle, straight. Nobody caught him on that. Okay. No one was going to catch him in a straight line. But if he's zigging and zagging and juking people, I think the momentum can be altered.
It's okay for you to watch trash like that all the time. I just watch him in prime time.
No, that's cool. Yesterday you sent me a picture of the ugliest practice pennies I've ever seen. You think you got something better to talk to me about? Oh, look at that! Look at this defense. Look how we've been able to stack our team with the Russell Wilson contract. No, you want to talk to me about practice pennies? Couldn't be my team.
Queen.
My quarterback flows.
Patrick Queen.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
All
That's fine.
you have to say in reply, Bert, is "Let's ride."
Let's ride.
All
You know
have
what
to
I can
say.
say to him?
I keep forgetting
we got the
he's there,
king
man.
now. We don't need a queen. We got the king,
Let's
baby.
talk about, so if we're going to talk about weight, let's just talk about his new haircut, shaved off his head. Like, how's he going to play? Like, is it rough, Russ? Like, how he's going to play?
I mean, this is off-season conversations. I love this. The fact that we have in-season hard knocks now.
I could not imagine not doing a radio show in a city that doesn't have the NFL. I just used about 3 double negatives there. Let me clean that up. It would be so much harder to do a radio show in a non-NFL market. Yeah. Because this is fodder, baby. This is the big leagues.
I'm here
This is the Shield. This is Weightgate on May 23rd, 2024. That's what we get, baby. This is the big time. This is the privilege you get when you host a sports talk radio show in an NFL town. NFL is king. Roger Goodell and the Shield tell us, hey, player gained or lost 10 pounds. You're going to lead your show with it in hour number 3 tomorrow morning, and you're going to like it.
Deco right.
I love how stupid it is. 615-737-1045. Go ahead.
No, that was just it for me. I do think it's once you get the accolades, it's like guys get the rings, right? Now I go get the bag. I've known guys, just give me the ring, and then I'm going to get the bag. I think that's where Lamar is. 2 MVPs. The team is set up as far as wide receivers go. Last year, I think it was, I'll try this weight thing out. And now it's like, screw it. I got everything that I want. I got the contract. I got the MVPs. Now it's time for me to go see if I can go win in my old ways. And Harbaugh just got to live with it. But if he gets broken in half, Bert, he going to have to put that weight back on.
Listen, why would you do that? Why would you do that? I don't talk nothing about nobody getting hurt. Now you want to snap my quarterback in half.
That's
better than that.
fair.
You play in the league.
Like a voodoo doll. He's got a voodoo doll over here.
Speaking of weight, there was a Titans offensive lineman this week who was also asked about his weight. More examples of why these are relevant conversations in late May. Peter Skoronski looks a little bit different. What are the expectations for him going into year 2? We'll talk about that next.
It's Ramon Foster here for Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Yes, if you need any of those things done, just listen to me. Go to Happy Hiller right now, okay? HappyHiller.com. But I'll tell you this, you won't have to wait on your contract to come into your house because I know some companies will have you just sitting there all day long, wasting away your day on them to fix what you need fixed in your home. Well, when you call Hiller, you don't have to camp out all day. They will send you a text message to let you know when your tech is on the way, send you his license plates. It's all safety and efficiency with Hiller. Also this month, you can be a happy camper this month with 0 interest financing for 24 months on select HVAC systems, generators, and tankless water heaters. Or take advantage of Hiller's $99 drain cleaning special. Take care of your home systems before the peak summer temperatures hit. We've been graced, y'all. Y'all know this. We're in the 80s now. That 90s and those 100s hit, man. That AC is going to be working overtime. So visit Happy Hiller today for details.
Hour number 3, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW, brewed by 8th and Roast. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. 615-737-1045. Going to talk about Peter Skoronski, who met with the media earlier this week. The expectations for him going into 2024. Let's go first to the phones in Murfreesboro. Coach Rainey. What's up, Coach Rainey?
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good morning.
I just wanted to kind of go off topic real quick. Beach baseball, Ramon, I think you're a little familiar with that, but we had a couple games yesterday. We made it to the Final Four in the state tournament last night with a comeback win against Siegel last night. Ended up winning 4-3. Yesterday morning, put out the second-ranked team in the state in Clarksville, beat them 7-0 at 10 o'clock yesterday morning, and had to sit around for several hours. We didn't start that game last night till 7:30. We fell behind early, and we just kept on grinding, man. Kept on grinding, and ended up winning 4-3 and one extra inning last night. So Beach High School advancing to the Final Four of the state in 4A baseball.
Nice.
Love it.
Congratulations,
good.
Coach. That's awesome for you guys.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good
Spring
stuff.
fling
Awesome.
Time of
in
year.
full swing.
Good.
Literally, right?
Yeah, shout out to you guys. Literally see the high school from my house, man. I see the lights on every Friday. Congrats to Beach Baseball, man. I know a lot of those guys over there, a lot of good people over there, man. Congratulations to Beach, Simple Sumner County, man. Hey, shout out to you guys.
Represent.
Simple Sumner, baby. We out here.
So Peter Skoronski talked to the media the other day. We just talked about Weightgate for Lamar Jackson. What does Peter Skoronski look like to you guys, and how much more confident does he appear after the rookie season he had that saw him give up 4 sacks in 4 games between week 14 and week 17?
It's fascinating for a guy like Peter. 1, he had an opportunity to break. 2, he had an opportunity to train most of the offseason and just breathe a little bit. Like, I don't think people understand how big and how long of a year it is from finishing your season to combine training, to going to the combine, to the visits that you got to take, to the workouts that the teams will give you, to where, all right, if you do start and somewhat survive your rookie year, as a non-quarterback, right? Because they don't have all the physicality of the game. They have the mental side of it. If you have the ability to survive your rookie year, it's a race to get into year 2, because now you got an opportunity to understand how to be a pro. And I think that was huge on Peter Skoronski, acknowledging weight, understanding that the game is going to slow down a little bit. Even with all this change, I'm looking for a big bounce back out of him, because the one thing coaches will tell you is this. Whatever you did in year 1 to impress me is not going to impress me in year 2. And whether that be footwork, whether that be finish, whether that be muscle that he's gained back from the surgery finally, and just his availability. Something has to change and be different about him in year 2. And I know we're going to break this down a little bit more on my expectation, Kayla, yours, and Will's yours also too.
Yeah, I've seen him in person on whatever day it was, Tuesday. It wasn't like anything drastic, right? In terms of like gain in weight, because that's something he's gradually been doing really ever since he came back from the appendectomy last year, which did affect some of his play just because he didn't have that weight on him. And as soon as he was able to come back, he was there, but he wasn't, the same player necessarily, because it takes a while for you to gain that back. And especially if it's something like surgery, I think that's so different too. But I think it's been a gradual process for him. And he briefly, again, he wasn't asked a million questions about it, because it was almost like, okay, have you done this? How are you feeling? Let's move on to some of the important questions about Bill Callahan and the technique and how you're, gaining that knowledge here with the new line coach and new guys around you. But I think it is good to hear that he feels healthy again and that he's been able to gradually gain that weight back, because you're right. In that spot too, that's so important for these guys to feel like they're 100% there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And their body is so much a part of that.
Being comfortable. Being comfortable. There's a lot of anxiety that's added to sports, right? And especially football, because you're scrutinized on every single thing that you do. And it's 11 that's got to work at 1.
Yeah.
There's so many different moving parts. So for him to finally get comfortable, well, also he's going to have the task of having to train up JC too.
Exactly. And he has a new center by him, which is awesome for him. I mean, if anything, it upgrades things. But yeah, there's a lot of newness.
No doubt.
This was Brian Callahan when asked the other day about Peter Skoronski.
Yeah, I mean, he's been intense. He'll get on us, and, we grind out there, as you guys saw today. But I've enjoyed it. But, there's definitely an intensity to it. There's definitely a way he wants things done. So everyone's kind of adjusting to that, learning to that. But I think guys are really picking up on it. And, his results speak for themselves. So I think we're all kind of bought in on it, too.
That is Peter Skoronski on Bill Callahan. That's all right. We were going to get to that anyway, too. But that was Peter's thoughts on Bill from Tuesday. We also have Brian Callahan talking about Peter as well.
I think he looks great physically. He looks like he's supposed to look. I think probably got a little bit lighter because of the appendectomy I think he had. It probably contributed to some of that. But he looks like what guards are supposed to look like. He's put a lot of really good work in. I'm pleased with his progress.
Can't wait for people to hear that and still think he's a tackle. Looks like what guards are supposed to look like.
So could he move over to tackle?
No, absolutely not.
Ramon, when you watched him last year, how much of his issues were his issues or playing next to a turnstile at left tackle?
A little bit of both. That's why they always look at Taylor and Saffold, right? Look at Saffold and Ben. Like, those pairings do matter. If you got instability, I remember, and that's why I said training up J.C. Latham as a young pro as Peter Skoronski. And there was times we had, like, backups in, or I'll even throw it out there with Alejandro Villanueva or Kelvin Beachum. I played with those guys, and they were younger than me as far as starting in the league goes. And I never forget either them having tough opponents that they had to go up against, whether that be a world beater on the outside like Von Miller or just anybody, right? Terrell Suggs being one of those guys. When you had to compensate for guys in their positions, and it takes away from you doing your job. Hey, I'm supposed to block this guy and help the center right here, but I'm also eyeballing you, and we're losing up the middle because I got to go help and support you. It can be problematic. That's why we speak about pedigree. That's why we speak about technique as far as the O-line goes, because at the end of the day, you can save yourself if you got good technique and if your pedigree is good enough also. I do think Peter probably had to watch a little bit more of, hey, and here's the thing about it. Your position coach may come to you, hey, this week you're going to have to watch Dennis Daly this week. Hey, and not Dennis Daly.
Oh, God, I was
the new Dennis Daly, Andre Dillard.
That's punishment right there.
Hey, eyes on Dillard this weekend, okay? Make sure nobody beats him inside. Those are the things that happen, and they somewhat complicate your job. And for him being a rookie, probably overcomplicated it, man. He didn't have an opportunity to just be him and do his job.
So I want to go at this from the similar way we talked about Will Levis earlier this week. And, of course, when we say, what does Peter Skoronski need to do this season? What is a statistical number that makes sense? When we say things like, oh, Will Levis needs 3,500 yards or 3,000 yards, obviously if he gets 2,990, like there's grace to that, right? Like it's not like you have to have this number, otherwise you're a failure. Like things are never that black and white. But for making things digestible for you, the fan, and for us as media, in the simplest way possible, and giving a number that you feel like is the expectation for Peter Skoronski. And I know evaluating offensive linemen on PFF is complex.
Yeah.
They say he gave up 5 sacks last season, 521 pass blocking snaps, 32 pressures, 5 sacks allowed. What is the expectation, or is there even a statistical expectation for how good Peter Skoronski should be in 2024?
I would say this, 17 games, make it through all of them, barring a football injury, right? Make it through all 17. That way you get more on-the-job experience. And here's my thing. For a guy like Peter Skoronski, who's going to be held at a high standard, in year 2 for him, 17-3. Give me 3 or less sacks.
Yeah.
Those are the things. Now, the stuff that we can't put a number on, his efficiency in the run game, we can't really grade that, either good or bad, right?
Exactly.
Complex.
Running backs getting 2,000 yards, I mean, a lot of that may be the bad defenses or their ability to break runs, right? We can't say that. But progression of his sacks that he give up is always going to be crucial. If we see him dominating double teams with J.C. Latham, that is a high expectation. Mm-hmm. To me, honestly, their success is predicated on just both of them. Peter's success is predicated on both of them. If J.C. Latham is a guy that squat over 1,000 pounds If he's as strong as the ox as we say he is, the running game to the left side, we might have to make new hats. They say run left because of what they are as
Dust
pros.
off the old hats.
I mean, legitimately, dust them off at this point, right? If there's an opportunity for a 3rd and 2 and you're running the ball on the left side, my expectations they get that more times than not. I ain't saying them get it every single time. More times than not on short yardage, especially if you're not fighting City Hall, meaning this is a spread out offense and you two dudes that have combo blocks. I have a strong expectation for them to get that more times than not, considering the strength that we've heard about, the savviness, the technique that they're being taught right now by Coach Bill Callahan. So, again, 17 games for Peter Skoronski. Huge. And 3 or less sacks for a young man like him. 5 last year, cool, I get it. Even if he had 4, I could still live that life for him. Think about that. That's 1 every quarter. 1 sack every 4 games is what 4 sacks is for a guy like Peter Skoronski. And if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, 5 ain't bad.
No, it's not really. I mean, for a first-year guy who was thrown into an awful offensive line, and I am going to dog coaching a little, because I don't think development was a thing, or at least it wasn't a big enough thing that they focused on with some of these guys. If anything, a lot of them did not get better or got worse.
Right.
And I know he was a rookie and he missed time. And I do think that hurts you, not because it's your fault. I mean, the guy had his appendectomy, situation.
Snatched out of him,
right. So if anything, I think I'm with you on that, Ramon. If all goes according to plan with his health this year, which I do feel like it's definitely doable, I say 3 sacks at the most, and it might take a minute to get into that groove because you do have a new guy on each side of you, and you have a rookie in J.C. Latham, who we all agree probably is going to be really good. But at the same time, it will take a second for those guys to get in a groove. So if anything, I think they might give up some of that early. And then, 4th game or so, you start to see it settle down a little. But I'm with you. 3, I think, would be a good number.
Yeah.
This was Peter Skoronski earlier this week when asked about the weight conversation for him.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a focus so much as I feel like, that happened to me last season. I was maybe a little light, not my strongest last year, and it's hard enough to keep weight on a normal season, let alone losing 20 pounds with the surgery. So, it wasn't anything planned. I just was training and eating and trying to do my best, and I feel like I feel pretty strong. I feel pretty lean, definitely heavier, but feeling good and feeling strong.
The expectations for me are higher for 2 reasons. 1, I think the rookie season would have been better without the appendectomy. I don't think Peter Skoronski allows 5 sacks if he doesn't have the appendectomy midseason. Yes, he would have played more games, but I think he would have been better in the games he played. Point blank. I think he hit a wall week 14 through 17 because the conditioning aspect of his game was completely thrown out the window for a couple of weeks. And when you're playing catch up and you're learning on the job, that's a really difficult mix of variables. I need 2 sacks or less allowed from him this year because he's the number 11 overall pick.
I feel that. That's tough.
He didn't choose it.
Yeah.
He did not decide, hey, I want to be picked this high. I mean, he probably would have.
I would have.
If he could have decided it, considering the paycheck he's getting. When you are picked at a non-premium position as high as he was, the expectations are all pro level. Sorry. I don't make the rules. But when you're the number 11 overall pick at a position where guys don't get picked 11 overall, Quentin Nelson in his second season, how many sacks he gave up?
How many?
0.
Did he?
Quentin Nelson was picked number 6 overall by the Indianapolis Colts. Now, granted, Quentin Nelson has regressed from that. And Jeffrey Simmons has made, Quentin Nelson his son.
Yeah.
2022, Quentin Nelson gave up 5 sacks, and he got forklifted by Danico Autry, his old teammate, in one of those games. So Quentin Nelson is not a perfect player. But it took Quentin Nelson until his 4th year in the NFL, to allow his 5th sack in this league. He allowed 2 in 2018 as a rookie, 0 in 2019, 1 in 2020, and 1 in 2021.
Yeah.
That is the expectation for a guy who was only picked 5 spots behind Quentin Nelson. For me, I get it. I understand the grace that Skoronski is given for his rookie season. I have not sounded the alarm bells on him whatsoever. But if you're going to tell me you're in better shape, you put on the weight back, you've got a potential all-pro center inside you, and you have got a rookie first-round top 10 pick to the left side of you, I need 2 sacks or fewer allowed this year from Skoronski.
I love the optimism for the O-line, baby. You made this sound even great by saying you got a potential All-Pro and a top 10 pick.
Well, you're being
too.
coached by the best guy at the
That's
position,
true.
too.
I'm with that.
Well,
100%.
we haven't even talked about the right side, and that's where my list of questions comes, because we can sit here and assume what the right side's going to look like this early on, but right now I think there's a lot of that up for grabs. I really do. I think that there's an open competition for both guard and right tackle.
I'm still on the Dylan Radins train, though.
For guard?
Yep, for guard.
I think he's your starting right guard week 1.
I'm on the Dylan Radins train.
He's got the favorite right now if you're going to pick someone, yeah.
Yeah. It just makes sense. He's young. He's cheaper. Even if he plays well this year, next year, you get a cheaper extension for a guy that hadn't played great. Can honestly get him an extension deal right now that keeps him at $5-6 million a year. That's how you build a team for the long term.
Would you bet on the offensive line week 1 in Chicago? If you're saying yes or no to this being the line, Latham, Skoronski, Cushenberry, Radins, Petit Frere, from left to right, as Mike Keith would say, as you listen on your radio dial. Is that your offensive line week 1?
I'm going to go no, because I want to see, and I've been on his train heavy, I want to see MPF come out in camp and go hard. I almost got Leroy Watson.
That's what I was thinking, too, is that he's the guy that's available right now.
Yeah, because that's the thing. MPF he's still nursing that shoulder. Now I think he'll be back before training camp.
You asked about it yesterday, and I was just like, okay, yeah, I'll give him grace. But, like, to play catch-up as far as MPF goes, it ain't hurting him because no pads are on. But what Leroy Watson gives it an opportunity now to get his footing under him, to get the football motions out of the way. If MPF, Nicholas Petit-Frere, doesn't practice this entire summer, his first contact is going to be close to a year of no pads. And at that point right there, he only had 2 weeks of action before he got injured again.
I think he's a little behind. I'll be the first to admit that. I think he's a little behind. And you said no pads, it doesn't matter. I get that.
It doesn't as much for the O-line.
Right. Compared to others that are out there.
Yeah.
If Nicholas Petit-Frere is as bad in preseason as he was last year, then Leroy Watson will be your starting right tackle.
That's what I said. Yeah.
615-737-1045 is our number. We'll get to Phil on the other side. You can react. How high should our expectations be for Peter Skoronski? 615-737-1045. Continued reaction on that next. What's up? It's Will Bowling. To all my facility managers out there, how are your plumbing fixtures doing? Have any clogs in a sink or two? Maybe you got an annoying leak. There's inconsistent hot water when you need it the most. Well, no matter your plumbing problem, the team at Lee Company, they're here to help. For over 80 years, their expert technicians have been here to make your life easier, keep your place of business running efficiently. And for over 80 years, you do business for that long, you learn how to do things the right way. And they do things the right way 24/7, 365. You can call Lee Company today at 615-567-1000. Something goes wrong at your place of business, at your home, they are there to pick up the phone and help you any time of day and any day of the week. 615-567-1000 or contact them online at leecompany.com. That's Lee Company. All you need. Expectations for Peter Skoronski. That is the subject of discussion this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW brewed up by 8th and Roast. Make your voice heard on the phone line, 615-737-1045. We start with Phil in Portland. What's up, Phil?
Hey, good morning. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes,
Happy
sir.
Miller Lite to every last one of you today. Listen, I'm so fired up. I don't need nobody to get excited about this offensive line because I could do it all by myself right here in my living room. Peter is going to be amazing because I'm telling you, this coach ain't no joke. He's got the logs in the fire, baby. And so if you think that we're going to come in here and be the same, the only thing that I wish that was different is that we had this coach when Derrick Henry was in his prime with us.
What else, Chuck?
That's the only thing I wish. Because I'm telling you, Ramon, if this guy would have been here and this offensive line, the way they build it now with Derrick Henry, the numbers that he was able to accomplish probably would have been triple. But I'm excited. Go Titans, tighten up. Let's do it, baby.
There we go, baby.
You know his wife's in the other room like, Phil, shut the hell up.
Phil is here for
I'll
it,
have
man.
what Phil's having this
Man,
morning.
Phil, bringing the heat.
Phil said, "Hey, it does make you think if everything lines up with this offensive line getting better in year one. Goodness, what it could have been if it had been Derrick in a different offense. The other thing too is Derrick in a more spread out offense. That would be crazy.
Phil in Portland and Paul in Franklin. Choose your fighter. Between that call and it's great to be alive and free in Tennessee.
A part of me makes me stick with Portland because it's Sumner County. Okay, you know how I feel about Sumner
Phil's
County.
my guy. Phil's my guy.
But Phil, when he calls in Big Ragu, is Paul
Love him.
from Franklin.
Paul, I got your back. Don't worry.
I've got Phil,
I'm
baby.
sticking with Paul.
I know Paul in Franklin's
Paul,
listening.
he's consistent.
You're
I
my
like
guy.
you, Paul, but I got to go with Phil.
Yeah, I gotta go with Paul on this one.
Okay, he's
This is a what have you done for me lately show.
It really is.
Where the hell you
just
been, Paul?
Showing our true colors.
I ain't heard Paul in a minute.
We heard Paul at all, man. But Paul brings energy. Although Phil was nice right there, dog. That was good.
It was really good.
Will said, "Pick your fighter." I didn't expect them to have a duel here, but I'm here for it, dog.
A joust, one might say.
What up, Chuck?
That's all I tell you.
Where does Sadiq Charles fit into this conversation? It feels like that is a guy we've not broken down a ton. The way we have the incumbents, so to speak, in Dylan Radins and Nicholas Petit-Frere and Jalen Duncan. But clearly, anyone who's brought in at this point after the Callahans were installed as coaches are brought in because the Callahans think that they can be contributors on this team. And that includes Sadiq Charles.
It's funny you say that because although this is half the spellings wrong on it, I have one thing in my notepad from the practice on Tuesday, and it's what I saw early on in terms of kind of first team reps with Levis. And from left to right, it was J.C. Latham, Peter Skoronski, Sadiq Charles, and John Ajoku at right tackle. So you saw a little bit of that mixture of guys, them trying out. It's just so early. It's hard to know what they want to do with all of this. And also because there is some stuff in terms of health with MPF. He's not out there. But yeah, I'm curious to get your take on him specifically as a player. We just haven't seen a ton of him.
Hadn't seen a ton of him. I hadn't put my eyes on him in a Titans uniform, clearly, because I missed practice. But here's the thing. They traded for him. There's value in that. These are guys, of course, when you look at the situation with him, no, they didn't trade for him.
Yeah,
no,
Sadiq Charles is not traded.
He's a free agent. It's a guy that Lloyd Cushenberry knows. That's a portion of it that I'll go back
connection.
to it. LSU connection,
Okay.
the friends. Big body dude from what I saw. Again, his tape is what it is. So he's had some inconsistencies. But when you're talking about young offensive linemen, there's always a growth period with them. For you guys to tell me, I got some intel for one of my resources too. He was running with the ones at guard. When you have everybody's in a new trial period with this coaching staff. That's why I look at everybody as having face value, except if you're a D-Hop or if you're Calvin Ridley or somebody like that, like you are who you are, Lord Cushenberry. It'll be fascinating to see it shake out. Whether it's Dylan Radins, whether it's Sadiq Charles, you have now an open competition. And we're not even mentioning Daniel Brunskill at this point. My evaluation of him is this. He's young. He's got talent. He's played big-time ball. He's played in games in Washington also, and he'll be given a fair shot and opportunity. This is, again, a staff that are bringing in guys that they have personally evaluated. That's the only other stock I give to a guy like him is, well, Bill Callahan handpicked you. Brian Callahan signed off on it. Rand evaluated you and may have listened to Lloyd Cushenberry in that conversation. To be taken more serious, probably, again, I've said my guy probably I think is going to end up taking it could be Dylan Radins. If not, I can understand the whys as to why he's not out there.
What do you like about Radins specifically? Why is he someone you believe in so much?
He's got good bend. I like that about him. When given the opportunity to play ball, I think it's been solid. Not great, just okay with them. You also look at him and say he's been the ultimate team player as far as his offensive line has needed him to also. He's played both tackles.
Places, yeah.
He's played both guards, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's even tried to take some snaps at center. That alone to me says if you settle him into one spot, he may actually specialize in a position.
Problem with Radins last season? 11 penalties.
Yeah, you got to clean that up. 100%.
They ain't gonna cut it.
That ain't going to cut it at all.
85 snaps at left tackle, 166 at left guard, 19 at right guard, which is ironic considering that's probably his most likely position to start this season. And then 504 snaps at right tackle.
But
allowed 5 sacks.
Is part of that because he had to move around so much and there wasn't a... That's what I'm saying.
Thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if him moving around a lot is...
But that's part of focus.
You got to have pressure in those moments. Like, we get the young guys like, what the heck are you doing? Not slapping them or nothing like that, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Coming up, fourth and final hour of the show. Headlines this morning to kick off your Thursday. And a little discussion on Tennessee Vanderbilt. What's next for the Vols and the Commodores as they continue on today in Hoover? That's next.
It's Ramon Foster here for Artisan Custom Closets to let you know summer is here, which means the kids running around outdoor activities, lawn care, pool parties, you name it. The summer is for the outdoors. So during these months, your garage and outdoor storage space becomes a landing place for all things you don't want inside of your home. Dirty shoes, toys, tools, and more. So transform your garage and outdoor space into a space of calm, an organization with Artisan Custom Closet. Artisan Custom Closets also, they are local. It's not a large chain business. Not only are they local, but their products are manufactured in the Southeast, which means you may get them a little bit quicker than some of the other companies, okay? It's not cookie cutter items, but they're customized for your home. So start with their free in-home design consultation and take advantage of the multiple financing options to make getting organized easier than ever. Schedule your consultation now and bring some calm and get organized. You can call them at 615-800-2199 or visit artisancustomclosets.com.
What's going on? 9 o'clock. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I am Robert Walsh. Little bit of news from the NFL League meetings in Nashville. Pittsburgh officially hosting the 2026 NFL Draft. Next year will be Green Bay. They will follow them up. The NFL will test an electronic system for measuring first downs during the preseason this summer. And Roger Goodell gave his opinion on a Super Bowl coming to Nashville.
I think the stadium is going to be amazing. We know the passion of the fans here. We experienced the draft here. And I think a Super Bowl here will be very successful, but we'll get to that once we get a little further down the line with the stadium.
Vols take a tough loss against the Commodores 13-4. SEC tournament continues on today. Vandy taking on Mississippi State 30 minutes after the conclusion of LSU and South Carolina. And Vols taking on Texas A&M 30 minutes after Arkansas and Kentucky wraps up. In the NBA, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, Ant wanted Kyrie. Well, he got it. Kyrie and Luka combined for 63 points on a night where the Mavs struggled from three. Minnesota kept it close but did not get enough from its stars. Mavs take Game 1 on the road, 108-105. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Hour number 4, 9 a.m. in Nashville, as we welcome you into one final hour on your Friday junior edition of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW brewed up by 8th and Roast. 615-737-1045. How you join us streaming live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Please.
Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh making the show happen. I'm Will Bowling. I want to know how many people have gotten in wrecks because of that noise.
I hope not many.
Hey, that sound comes through, man. You hear me?
You've heard of cicadas? That's a slaycada.
That's a slaycada.
Yeah.
Is what that is.
By the way, I told you guys, they're on the walls outside here.
Oh, yeah.
There's rest
Yeah,
everywhere.
they like latch on to certain things. I saw them on the light poles.
Man, any chance I get, I swipe it down and step on it, just so you know.
Vanderbilt 13, Tennessee 4 yesterday in Hoover. All of the top 4 seeds fall. And for Tennessee, now at 46-11, an elimination game today around 12:30 to 1 o'clock-ish. They don't set start times for the second games in these sessions. Essentially just whenever the first game ends, they will get the Texas A&M Aggies. Only in the SEC do you get a loser's bracket game between 2 of the top 4 teams in America. And this, I believe, is the number 1 team versus the number 4 team in the country?
Yeah.
Tennessee and Texas A&M. Tennessee throws 8 pitchers yesterday, including Nate Snead, his first start in SEC play, first start of the season. 2 of them had pitched more than 5 innings in SEC play this year. Credit Vanderbilt getting the bats going, and they listened to everybody who said they can't hit home runs and said, watch this.
Watch this.
Couple for Espinal, and Commodores took advantage, and they are not only in the NCAA tournament, they are in the tournament in Sharpie. They are good for an 18th straight NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
They got a guy on their team I got to just give credit to, and it's good. RJ Austin.
Yeah, he's one
He's
of the.
a player.
He'll be like an Enrique Bradfield who
I
you
see
could
that.
you can put him anywhere. He's just going to be one of those dudes.
Yeah. I saw he's played first, he's played short, he's played center. He's a utility.
Last year he played second.
He did? Yeah. He's pretty.
This is his first time playing first base this year, ever.
Was there an injury?
Yeah, there
was
was
an injury?
in
Okay,
center
all
field, and it had to shuffle everything around this season because of that.
Hey, when you get an opportunity, shout out to Vandy for being able to pile on the people, you do it, man. Tony V had this plan in place to get some reps in. Well, he actually said it. He was like, we need some guys. What was it? We'll put some dirt on the cleats.
So he was asked in his pre-tournament press conference, what do you want to accomplish? And he said, to have the pitching sorted. You want to use a certain amount of guys, get them action. It's been a little bit. Heck, even Dylan Loy, who came in a critical spot yesterday, freshman from, I believe, Pigeon Forge High School, who had pitched a third of an inning in SEC play this year, said some time will pass and you want those guys in somewhat of a rhythm, but it's also an imperfect time of year, so they need to be willing to go at any time and take on whatever role, which literally something comes up where it's the first time they've done it all year, but they take the ball and run with it. For most of these guys, it was the first time they had been put in meaningful baseball games all season for Tennessee. And it's not an excuse. I mean, Tennessee deserved to lose the game. Vanderbilt deserved to win, and Vanderbilt also threw some unproven guys on the mound who took advantage of their opportunities, and you give them credit for that, certainly. But Vitello, after the game, said, we knew who we were going to throw, which was pretty much everyone that's on the list, one way or another. So we gave Nate Snead a chance in the off case that he would have to throw or start later on this year for some reason or another, that he wouldn't have to say it's his first time. So at least we checked that box. And you can play the game, Vanderbilt fans, of, Tennessee fans making excuses. And if you want to take that angle, that's fine. But if you're listening to what Tony Vitello is saying, he's telling you that we needed to get guys who had not pitched in SEC games reps. That way, on the off chance we lose early in the regional and we got to beat a team 2 times in a row in order to make it to a super regional, we're going to need all these freshmen and sophomore pitchers that have not pitched in SEC play.
Yeah, I'm not comparing these two teams right now in terms of their, voyage into the postseason. They're both doing things the way they need to do things. And they're both very different right now, too. Obviously, Tennessee has earned the right to host a regional, and if they win at that, a super regional as well. Whereas Vanderbilt, they were on a different path, and I think there is a great possibility they could get hot, which they're proving to do right now with at least the bats. And they needed to gain confidence. That was the thing for this Vanderbilt team to go into the postseason. They need to believe that they can win these games, and they'll go on the road for regional. So that's a thing where you also have to look at Vanderbilt this year had not been great on the road. And that's something that they have to try to figure out right now as a team. We know we're going on the road for a regional, so we got to be prepared to have the confidence to get there. And like you said, get the bats going, feel confident in some of the pitching, because you got Bryce Cunningham in the first game that looked really good too. He had been a little inconsistent this year. So we'll see what they do today in terms of who they'll throw. But yeah, I think it's just two programs with two different missions right now and how they're going to get as far as they're going to get.
And speaking of missions, too, you speak about bullpens. Like, it was 8 pitchers compared to 3 as far as Vanderbilt goes last night. Of those 8 pitchers was Franklin High School's A.J. Russell.
Looked good.
Pitched an inning, hit 1 pitcher, 2 strikeouts, and gave up 1 hit, if I'm not mistaken. He was exactly where you needed him to be. He set the low 90s. I think he hit up 95, if I'm not mistaken. But the strikeouts was huge. It was 4 at-bats for him, man. A good outing, good inning for a guy like him that needed some live reps, too. So it's a plan. Again, how do we view college baseball before COVID versus after COVID? It seems like now the process has been, and Will, you brought this up off air with us, that nowadays coaches try to make sure they save as many arms as they possibly can, because through perfect game, through PBR, through all kind of situations now in baseball, it's the longevity of arm care for teams and their pitchers.
Yeah, Tony was asked about that going into the tournament as well, and addressed it the way coaches are always going to address it, right? Like, yeah, it's something we're aware of. We want to stay in a good spot with that. And I think more than anything, if Tennessee doesn't throw some of those pitchers in today, then if you're calling on them next week in a regional for the first time in 2 weeks since they played Belmont, and if you have to throw Marcus Phillips into the end of a game, he's not pitched in 2 weeks against live hitting. That's significant at that point for Tennessee. I just feel like, again, if you're a Vanderbilt fan and you want to take the easy win and say, oh, excuses, typical Tennessee fans, you're in a rivalry. I don't blame you for taking that stance. Go for it. When you beat your rival, rub their nose in it. That's totally fine. But if you're on the outside looking in, you're a neutral observer in this, and it's, Tennessee's making excuses, you're just showcasing that I don't think you know anything about the situation and the kind of guys that Tennessee was throwing in there.
Yeah. And Vandy, I love everybody in the F&M Bank chat, Vandy Man saying, I'm going to always love it when we win over the Vols. Yeah,
Of course,
rightfully so.
as you should.
Yeah, you're a
rivalry.
Vandy guy, right? You should root anytime you get that. But it's just I just think there's just for these two teams, it's just different right now in terms of what they're trying to do to get to the postseason. That's just my different argument in this whole thing. Just like LSU is doing, right? I mean, you look at some of these top seeds that were losing their first games in this tournament. They're all in the tournament and they're all hosting. And I'm excited to see what Vandy can do if they gain that momentum. That's the whole point. Heck yeah, they want to make it far in this tournament. I mean, it means something to them right now because there's a lot of stuff that they wanted to correct before they get into the NCAA tournament.
If this is the plan to help lead up with pitching and stuff, how does Tennessee and Texas A&M balance who sucks the worst?
It's a great question today because
That's funny.
A&M used a lot of its high leverage arms last night in its loss to Mississippi State. You did not see Chris Stamos. You did not see Aaron Combs. You did not see A.J. Causey. So you really didn't see Tennessee's top arms. Kirby Cannell was in there. His ERA a little above 4 this season. He's been a matchup guy who has pitched midweeks and weekends. The only pitcher that Tennessee threw last night that's consistently in high leverage moments in weekends, other than Kirby a little bit, is Nate Snead. But you threw Nate Snead as a starter to get him that experience. And Tony Vitello said it after the game. We did that way. If he has to start a game in the NCAA tournament, we're not saying it's his first start of the season. He's at least checked that box of the preparation. His velocity was also down last night as well.
Yeah,
was throwing 97. He's typically around 100. Nate Snead was. Again, these are contextual things that do not matter on X.com.
When did high leverage arm become such a buzzword? Because I've heard it more the last week than I have ever heard it ever.
When has it become?
Yeah, when did it become so commonplace in this in discussing baseball? I just haven't heard people say high leverage arms.
Because
every team has them.
So
I'm sure they do. They got 2 of them.
Yeah.
But like, what does that mean? I don't know what it means.
It's a guy who can make pressure pitches. Every Major League Baseball team is going to have it too. Like the Atlanta
John
Braves.
Smoltz is a high leverage arm.
When he was a reliever, yes.
Was he ever described as that during his time? Like,
Yeah.
is this a new phrase?
100%.
like Aroldis Chapman is a high leverage arm.
Right.
guy.
Like the Atlanta Braves have Aaron
Paul
Bummer.
Skeens.
Do they also have low leverage arms? Like,
Yes.
God, that dude sucks.
Yeah.
No, and guess what though, Bert? Those guys you love because guess what happens with those
You're either
low
winning
leverage
by a lot or losing by a lot when they come in.
Exactly, because the ball stays in play for the most part because they're not
strikes.
throwing it as fast. You get more ground balls in those situations or more pop outs. The guys that high leverage arms, you tap them in the right place, they're gone.
Yeah.
That's the gift and curse of having high velo is if they hit you and they can time it up and it doesn't have more movement or good movement or drop on the ball too or spin. Don't get me started on all this type of stuff. Then that's where you start speaking of, all right, this guy's an easy out or not. Or if it's a 3-2 count and you know he can just buzz them by. Like, all right, yeah, we're about to get this strikeout.
So the Vols bring out their medium leverage today.
Yeah.
I think you'll see the weekend staff today. If I had to guess, I bet you see Chris Stamos and A.J. Causey, who you typically see on Fridays, and you put in your high leverage guys.
Yeah, high leverage. Paul Skeens
likely.
is a high leverage guy for LSU last year.
Like the Braves have Aaron Bummer, who they put in when they're up by or losing by 5, or if they need a matchup lefty. And then they have Joe Jimenez, AJ Minter, and Razel Iglesias.
But why it's come up is velo is all everybody talks about.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you guys every time you talk about a pitcher, whether he is high leverage or low leverage pitcher.
615-737-1045. It is time to take comments, to take questions like that, turn them into You're Not That Guy, which is next.
It's Ramon Foster here for United Structural System. Telling you, this is the same company you've trusted for 30 years in your crawl space. They are now offering mold treatment and will give you $500 off any mold growth solution now through June 30th. Okay, if mold is growing, breathe easy with USS Mold Treatment and turn your crawl space into a healthy space. Again, I just told you about the $500 off, and they have a 3-step RTE process that helps you get rid of the mold also. RTE, what does it mean? Well, remove, treat, and encap. Remove the active growth. treat the areas where growth occurs, and encapsulate the crawl space. I know everybody's had a lot of flooding going on around their houses, the areas. I know up in Sumner County we have also, and just that moisture and humidity gets in, and before you know it, you got growth in your crawl space. Get that taken care of with the company that I trust in, United Structural Systems, okay? Call now for a free mold inspection and have your entire foundation inspected at no additional charge. USS is here to help. For all your foundation and waterproofing issues, visit USSTN.com.
RKW brewed up by 8th and Roast, rolling on in hour number 4. 615-737-1045 is the number. Oh, it is time to complain on a Thursday morning. Load up the phone lines for You're Not That Guy. Anyone or anything in your week that has made you stop, pause, and say, you're not that guy. Robert Walsh, hit the music. 615-737-1045. Who is batting leadoff today?
I'll take leadoff today, Bert. You got me queued up, man, because mine can take a little bit of time.
You got a clip?
You've got an
I got
audio.
a clip.
Okay.
I do. And I never
reference.
thought I'd say this as it pertains to Kendrick Perkins, but I'm a bigger fan of him because he can be real at times, other than when it's pro LeBron all the time. Like, everybody knows LeBron got him. But Kendrick Perkins had a great point towards ESPN and his basketball analyst. Bert, hit it with him real quick.
Have to stop. As the media and everybody else shining the light on Bronny, because it's other players that are deserve our attention, right? The lottery guys, the guys that are actually going to get drafted in the first round. Like, we're talking about a young man that's possibly going to go late second round or not getting drafted at all. That I've never, in my 4 years of working here, I've never sat on the table where we're talking about a second round pick.
But this is LeBron James' son, and that is a legitimate storyline that one of the greatest of all times has a son trying to play in the NBA at the same time.
And you have to give Bronny credit for actually trying to say the right thing, showing up in the right places, and at the end of the day.
And by the way, I like seeing LeBron in the stands as a proud dad. I like that. That's a great example from fatherhood.
He's the number 1 scorer in NBA.
What does that have to do with his son being at the draft?
Scottie Pippen's kid was playing on the Lakers.
But we didn't shine the light on Scottie Pippen's son like this. We can't move the goalposts and feel like we go do it when it's convenient for us.
When we say Nepo baby, that means that you have the same career, parents to child. And so for those
somebody's a Hollywood producer, their son or daughter gets a job.
But if he has the same dreams and he does get a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, but can we talk about this, y'all? This is a guy who has given his life to the game.
You can cut it right there. Perk, I love you even more. Do you hear me, man? Kendrick Perkins, you are 100% correct. I don't care if it's LeBron James' son. I don't care if it's the President of the United States' son. I don't care if they're good, celebrate them. LeBron James, Bronny James is not that type of prospect this year. I think it'd be cool for him to go back to college and enjoy it. Be your own person. The narrative that ESPN is pushing right now that he's a top 10 pick, when you got guys like Rob Dillingham, who's a true dog, Reed Shepard, who's out. Man, I'd much rather talk about Zach Edey going in the second round than I would about Bronny James right now. You're championing LeBron James' kid because his dad is LeBron James. That is so unfair. So for Ramona Shelbourne, and I know Shanae, y'all gotta do this types of stuff. I don't care about LeBron James being in the stands if his son ain't all that great that you think he is. Gary Payton Jr.'s son is nice. Tim Hardaway's son is nice in the league. Okay, there's a lot of juniors around the league. Kenyon Martin's got a great kid in the league right now. Let's talk about them, and he's right. Scottie Pippen Jr., nobody covered him like that. So for the people that are pushing this Bronny James narrative that he doesn't want, LeBron doesn't want, and doesn't deserve it either, y'all are not those guys
You're
or
not
girls.
that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I'm glad you said this because at least the NFL can stay away from this. We did not make Brendan Rice into a third-round pick just because Jerry Rice is his dad. Frank Gore Jr. did not get drafted. Did not get drafted because Frank Gore was his dad. And this year's NFL draft had so many sons of former successful players, and that was they mentioned it, they talk about it, but Chad Pennington's son sucked. That's why he's not getting talked about. That makes all the sense in the world, and I get it. But if Tom Brady's son ends up being a quarterback, we're probably going to do the same thing.
Oh my gosh. I just had to get that one. Perk was right.
That was good.
That was good by Perk. Y'all should have saw his visuals. He was just head in hands.
Yeah, I saw some of the clip.
He was frustrated. And I am too for Bronny. But that's my You're Not That Guy.
My You're Not That Guy goes to a guy who captivated the internet. Not a You're Not That Guy in a negative sense, but because he is literally not the guy that he was when he went viral. Former Tennessee big man, of course, NC State big man, DJ Burns, reportedly has lost 45 pounds, and he promises that not a single bit of it is because of a little thing called Ozempic. He has taken what NFL scouts were saying about him and said, couldn't be my career playing football. You are not going to catch me in a pass set under any circumstances whatsoever. And the man who owns vending machines and runs them in his spare time has decided that he is going to slim down for the NBA draft process. Shams Charania is saying he has lost 45 pounds in the last 6.5 weeks. DJ Burns, I'm not even mad at you. You're just not the guy. You're not the big, lovable, fat Albert kind of character that you were when you led NC State to a Final Four. You are literally not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Nothing left of him. I saw a side-by-side photo. I was like, yeah, it doesn't even look like him, right? The lovable big DJ Burns.
And the fact that he mentioned the Ozempic thing, like, geez. Yeah,
because that's what everybody is assuming now, though. When you lose weight, and especially that quickly, that is the one thing people will go to. And a lot of people are doing it that way. So
45 in 6 weeks. Listen, if he makes an NBA roster, he going to be dog tired.
That's crazy, dude.
That is, he going to be dog. I love to see his stamina levels right now.
That's not a long-term solution for everybody.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say that. If I was really being honest, I think we could speak for everybody in this month alone that cicadas are really not that guy. I think that is first and foremost everybody. Give an applause for that one, because cicada's not that guy.
My truck would clap with me this morning. Absolutely.
But I got to go and pick out a particular incident that happened to me this week. I don't know who the guy was or gal was that did this, but I'm going to call him out. So I go to Publix the other day to pick up, odds and ends sometimes. I don't always do shopping at the same time. Sometimes I just need to make it through the week. Right. Now, waking up this early in the morning, for me, I've got bad allergies and it affects my eyes. So the first thing I do in the morning, I'll put in my eye drops, put them in a couple times throughout the day. It's essential for me. So when I go to get my eye drops, I've realized they're a lot cheaper now at Publix than they are at, let's say, a Walgreens or a CVS. I'm saying by like $5-6, which is significant when you're using these things because they're teeny bottles and there's not much in them. So I go to the store, and first of all, they've changed around the aisles for about the umpteenth time. Okay, they're switching around aisles again, so it took me a while to get there to find where the eye drops were. I finally find them, and I'm getting all excited, and there's a bigger eye drop and a smaller one. So I see they're all out of the big ones. But lo and behold, guys, here's one small one.
Yeah.
Here's one small one that's left hanging on the rack. I'm excited. Okay, I'm going to get it for a cheaper price. I don't have to run over to Walgreens. So I grab it, put it in my basket, grab a couple things, check out, go to the house to open my bottle. And there is no eye drops in there. Eye drops are gone. Someone literally just picked it out of the box, put it in their pocket, and left the little box, put the flap back in there because you would never have known it wasn't there because it's very light.
Oh.
And so then I come back home and I'm too lazy. I don't want to go back and I know they don't have any more. So I just was out, $13 or whatever it was, because somebody decided to steal freaking eye drops.
Wow.
From Publix.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
That's common with golf balls sometimes, where you have those big boxes of golf balls and somebody will take like the noodle box and they'll put in Pro V1s inside the noodle box and trust that people aren't going to check it. And you have like the outside of it looks like it's noodles, which are cheaper. And then you have really nice golf balls on the inside. I'm not condoning this kind of behavior, obviously, but
oh my God.
Dang, man.
That and socks. That happens all the time in like fitting rooms with socks, where when I worked at Dick's Sporting Goods, this was something I had to deal with, where they would just go put on socks in a fitting room and walk out.
That's so ridiculous.
It's kind of like when you buy something from Facebook Marketplace and they're like, oh, it's this much money, and you put the big bill on the outside. Yeah. You're like, oh, yeah, man, thanks for helping me load it. Here's the money. And you get in your car and meow them off because you gave him a 20 and a bunch of ones.
Yes.
Maybe that's just me.
No. Socks, though, is something I wouldn't expect, but that's definitely easy to take.
Especially the Nike Elite ones that are nicer. Those are at least security tagged. It's like the middle of the road ones.
Yeah. So, man, I got so many questions I can ask you off.
I don't want to give people ideas out there.
we gotta.
Half the people don't have dressing rooms anymore, I tell you.
Yeah, that's true. Robert Walsh.
Rumors of their demise had been greatly exaggerated. Red Lobster put out a statement yesterday to let everybody know they're not leaving. They're not going anywhere.
Show goes on.
Put on a big statement saying, I don't know if you guys know the difference between bankruptcies. There's like Chapter 11, Chapter 13. There's a bunch of different chapters.
Yeah.
Well, Chapter 11 is about removing debt around. So they didn't say like, oh, we're bankrupt. The lobster's shutting down. They said they're going to reorganize the process of which the business and individuals can restructure, yada, yada, yada. A bunch of business lingo that I ain't got time to get into. But the main point is Red Lobster is going to be back. Woo! And Red Lobster is going to be back better than ever, which means more lobster, more crab fest, more shrimp fest. I don't know if y'all have ever been to All You Can Eat Shrimp Fest, but it is a special time because they got to kick me out. I'm bringing a laptop, a portable DVD player. I'm watching Finding Nemo. I'm eating as many shrimp as you will possibly bring out. Because that's what I do. I show up and eat out. But with the Red Lobster, I think you are that guy. So I'm going to switch it up. I'm not that guy because it's probably my fault they ran out of business from how many shrimp I ate.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I take the blame.
Self-awareness.
Out of Pappy.
615-737-1045 is how you join us for You Are Not That Guy. They didn't just file for bankruptcy. They declared it.
I declare bankruptcy.
Getting on that good publicity, bad publicity, doesn't matter. It's publicity.
Hey.
Red Lobster's in the news, baby.
They are in the news.
Chuck in Mount Pleasant starts us off. What's up, Chuck?
What up, Chuck?
I'm the one that sent all the UT stuff down to 3HL, and I know that Ramon got my puppet.
Yep.
Do you still have the hand puppet?
I do still have.
Squeaky.
What else, Chuck?
Yes, I still have the hand puppet, man.
Squeaky.
Little Smokey.
And I love Kayla to death, but did she make her bun look like that on purpose?
Bro, I've been doing this since I was 5 years old.
Yeah, but can I say something and not offend you?
Man, look, I've been on TV for 20 years.
You've already offended me.
Honestly, bring it on. Bring it on, Chuck. Let's go. Let me see your face, Chuck. Bring it to the building. Bring it to the building.
I don't know if we want that, Chuck. No,
yeah, you already
Chuck,
offended
I love
me.
you, and I love Little Smokey the puppet, but that's just too wide.
Actually, this bun is trademarked.
Chuck,
you're not that guy, pal.
trademarked.
Trust me. You're not that guy.
Yeah, not everyone can do what I can do with this bun.
I'm glad he can't see my hair.
Odds are, if you're prefacing a comment with, are you sure you're not going to get offended? You're probably going to offend all of us. So
look, it ain't you, it's us, okay, Chuck? It ain't you, it's us. We're saving you from you in this situation right here. I promise you, okay?
I really wanted to hear it, Chuck. And then I wanted Chuck to come here, and then I'll pick something about him that I can give him some criticism on. Love that. I love that game so much.
It's always the people that don't put their faces on their social media with their calls.
He didn't mean it, but I'm sure whatever he said, I would have gotten fired up and come back at him.
Yeah, and I don't want fired up, Kayla. You about to head to the beach, and we can't have you going
It's my
down
birthday
like
tomorrow,
that.
Chuck.
Absolutely,
Chuck, you're going to bring that stuff on my birthday?
Exactly. We can't have that. Kayla's turning 22 tomorrow, man. We can't have that.
It's like when you love your grandparents, but they're like, did you buy those jeans with holes in them? It's like, all right, Granny, I'm not going to come back and see you for 3 months now.
All right, Granny, keep talking about these holes.
Okay,
We're going to
Chuck.
talk about yours later, okay?
Eric in Nashville next. Go ahead, Eric.
Guys, I don't know if I can follow that.
Please do.
Guys, mine takes place in Abilene, Texas. A man by the name of George Paul Jones, no relation to the country superstar George Jones, decided one night that he was going to break into a dog kennel. So he did, and he also decided that night that he was going to do something called release the hounds. So he opened the cages of a bunch of dogs that were inside the cages, and what do you think the dogs are going to do? Well, of course, dogs are aggressive, and they're going to fight other dogs. And in the melee, one dog died, 9 other dogs were seriously injured, and they're probably going to have to be put down, and a bunch of other dogs escaped. When the police found Mr. Jones and they asked him why he did it, I don't know if he was an animal rights activist or whatever, but he just did not like seeing those dogs in those cages. He was charged with breaking and entering, reckless endangerment, and also was found to be high on meth, and as well as traces of marijuana and cocaine in the system. Guys, you can't make that up. So, guys, Mr. George Paul Jones, you are definitely not that guy. Y'all take care, and we'll talk to you again soon.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Eric in Nashville.
At this point, I think he does it on purpose. Eric will come in. I love Eric. I do. But he will drop down the most heartbreaking, crazy story.
Eric comes with some heat, man. George Paul Jones. I hope he does not get a bologna sandwich, man.
Man, this was about to go in the best of, and now, now y'all got this took all the way out the best of.
No, Eric, I love it, Eric. Eric, he finds these stories that
He's so
I
funny.
love.
Yeah.
Eric, you keep bringing that heat, man. That's what I'm telling you.
We should make like king of You're Not That Guy, and right now he would be wearing the crown for
Eric
that.
definitely has the crown. Jeez, although I thought my perk one was pretty good though. But
It was. That was it was serious, but a good
You
conversation.
got to clarify when you're talking about perks. Kendrick Perkins.
Yes. Sorry about that.
Not your favorite rapper? Stop it, dog. What is wrong with you? Either way, Eric, keep bringing the heat, baby.
Big Rig in Franklin next. What's up, Big Rig?
It's a big wig.
Big Wig.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You're not that gal. You ever seen those girls with the fake eyelashes that touch the door before they walk in? You're not that girl. No guy has ever came up to you and said, "Hey, girl, you look so much better with those big eyelashes." That's all I got, guys.
You big wig.
I heard those things are heavy around
There's
the
a way to
eyes.
do it. Like, there's a lot of WNBA women who do that, and I don't even know how they
I
play
see
with
in
it.
general. Yeah,
But
that's a lot.
a lot of people don't have beautiful thick eyelashes, so some people like to do it because it's less time to have to put your makeup on in the morning if you have a job that requires that. But there's a way to do it, because if it doesn't look right, then it doesn't look right. But then again, shout out to those if you want to rep it.
I mean, some
Rep
put
it.
on a lot of makeup, some do eyelashes. Some
Angel
think-
Reese, I think, has the thicker eyelashes.
Yeah, I mean, Tamara Key had it this past year. So there's a
she?
lot of girls that have it. Yeah, I get it. It's your cup of tea is how I look at that. Individuality is how I see it.
I think it's for the people that like butterfly kisses. That's what I'm a big fan of. So anytime I tell Cheyenne I buy her a box every time I go out. She doesn't let me have real kisses anymore, so I have to resort to you guys familiar with the eyelash?
Really lashing out there.
There you go.
That's one of my strongest attributes. I've always been told I have long eyelashes.
Same.
Aren't you special?
Yeah, me too.
Look,
Aren't
women
you
get so
too.
mad about that.
So mad about that,
Livid.
don't they?
Keep it to yourself.
Couldn't be my eyelashes.
God.
My wife used to says, let me
My
curl yours
goodness.
over. Like, girl, get out.
What is that? Why do y'all want to put stuff on us like that?
She's like, leave me alone. I was born with this.
You really adopted the eyelashes.
I
was born. Coming up, we'll wrap up the show. A headline of the NCAA yesterday, potential major changes on the horizon in college athletics that we'll dive into next.
What else, Chuck?
Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling. If you're running a fast-growing business in Nashville, listen up. NetSuite's Business Grows Here event is coming to Nashville on Tuesday, June the 25th. Don't miss this. Why Nashville? Well, because NetSuite knows Nashville is a hub for entrepreneurs with forward-thinking founders, a top talent pool, and pro-business leadership. You can apply to attend the business event of the year, Business Grows Here, taking place at the Conrad Hotel Tuesday, June 25th. You'll learn how Tennessee is paving the way for new business growth and capital, see how technology fueled by AI is shaping the way we grow and run our businesses, and you'll be inspired by leaders who have built and led billion-dollar businesses like Jamie Simonoff, founder of Ring Video Doorbell, and Burke Nihill, CEO of the Tennessee Titans. NetSuite by Oracle, Business Grows Here event, free to attend if you qualify. Apply right now to find out because seats are going quickly. Block out your calendar for Tuesday, June 25th. Apply right now. netsuite.com/Nashville. That's netsuite.com/Nashville. Wrapping up the show, Ramon, Kayla, and Will on a Thursday morning. We will have Brent Hubbs tomorrow. There is a little bit of Tennessee recruiting news out there. The number 3 player in the country in Knoxville this weekend, left tackle, David Sanders. That will be a big topic of conversation with VolQuest's Brent Hubbs tomorrow. I would argue there are a lot of Tennessee fans that would rather get the number 3 player in the country in football than win a national championship in baseball. So that is why football recruiting is a year-round conversation in the SEC. So that'll be tomorrow at 7:20, of course. Yesterday, guys, the NCAA's Board of Governors voted to agree to settlement terms in the House versus NCAA and related antitrust cases. Joining 3 power conferences so far, the SEC and Pac-12 still have to vote on this, in moving forward with a historic change for the way college sports are operated. So essentially, the settlement terms state the NCAA will provide more than $2.7 billion with a B to former athletes over the next decade for back damages related to the association's name, image, and likeness restrictions, according to sources. So the conference has also agreed to create a forward-looking system that will allow schools to pay roughly $20 million per year in permissive revenue sharing to athletes. Wow. This is the beginning of revenue sharing to athletes. We will see what happens next in this, but this was expected. The NCAA formalizing a revenue sharing plan that would begin likely in fall 2025. And if you've been an athlete for the last decade, you're going to get back damages as well.
Ooh, it's a lot of money.
Can I get like $1?
I was going to say, are you going to get
How
any
much
of it?
do walk-on distance runners get? Like, I'm in the last decade of being an SEC athlete. I'd take $150. Give me something for the vending machine for my peanut butter crackers tomorrow morning.
You say that with the college football settlement we got. I think it was like $595 or something like that.
That must be
I took
nice.
that. Yeah, that was actually legit.
What was that one?
His name, image, and likeness for college football. I think it was a few years back. I'm past 10 years removed from college, so I can't get any of this bread. Dang, Will.
Aw.
I thought you
can't get any more money, guys.
So by settling, the schools of the NCAA, they avoid going to trial where they could have been on the hook for damages in excess of $4 billion if they had lost, which was considered likely, according to legal sources, considering the NCAA has gone over in recent court cases.
Man.
We're talking about billions here. This is mind-blowing.
All right, do the right thing, NCAA. Get a hold of this thing.
But at some point, my goodness.
It's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Sources tell ESPN.com and Adam Rittenberg that it will take at least 6 months to sort through the details. Title IX laws will apply to future payments, whether they can curtail spending in the NIL marketplace. I mean, if you're looking at a situation where you have to pay equal amount of dollars for male and female sports, then male sports are going to get cut at an alarming rate.
Oof.
And you're going to have less non-revenue male sports because schools are going to say, well, I'm just going to use all my male sport dollars on football and still use all the same amount of dollars on all the female sports.
Yes, yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
It is.
And athletic directors are going to have to make difficult decisions on which athletes and which coaches they say, hey, your baseball season this year? Yeah, that's not happening anymore.
Yeah.
Hey, your men's tennis, men's golf, track and field. Sorry, we got to pay the football team.
Issue is they have no structure on it right now.
None whatsoever.
It's legitimately the Wild Wild West.
Yep.
And again, jumping into it right now and trying to correct it is best because, again, the NFL expanding, that means longer times for the NFL to really jump in on college football. With them going international, like at this point, if you get a CBA in place, you can play more international games in college. Like these are the things we're talking about, just true growth, real growth, expansion of this thing to where that everybody can get compensated, even you NCAA people. This is how you do it. Call Roger Goodell and his crew.
And then we had yesterday the announcement that private equity firms, according to the Wall Street Journal, are looking to invest $50 million to $200 million in 5 to 10 athletic departments. There's one way to get the money to keep all your sports.
It is. There's enough going around. I'm with Cal. I know you've brought it up, Will, and Kayla has too, especially with the Pac-12 and stuff like the Olympic sports. They matter. We're going to all celebrate the United States this year.
I appreciate that.
Right? We're going to all
Good luck to
celebrate
them in
and
other conferences now.
watch them compete in the Olympics. And that's where you somewhat cut that off, or either you make those young kids turn pro early so they can start get paid too. But something has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
Kayla, enjoy your long weekend. A happy early birthday to you.
Yes, happy early birthday, Kayla.
Turning 21, so I'm excited about that. I can actually have a drink down there at the beach. And yeah, guess what, Chuck? I'm going to wear this bun. I'm going to wear it proudly down there. And then I'm also going to put on a hat because I don't want to burn.
Hot. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, definitely going to be hot.
100 days till Tennessee football, by the way.
Seems
You
so
said
far
you
away.
love but hate that countdown.
I have mixed feelings on jersey countdowns because I feel like if I'm reminded it's 91 days until Tennessee football, it's going to feel longer.
Yeah.
It flies by when you don't do the countdown every single day. I'm still going to sit there and I'm going to look at the pictures and remember, oh yeah, number 90 or it's Jesse Mahalona days until Tennessee football and be like, oh, I remember him.
I do.
And then I'm going to go on with my life. As usual, it's not as dramatic as I'm making it, but
That's all right.
100 days.
Get you going.
100 days.
Get you going.
Double digits tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be Friday tomorrow. We'll act like it.
Can't wait to.
Looking forward to that. Brent Hubbs, more Titans discussion as always. We'll go around the NFL, and it'll be good. 4 more hours of the week.
Let's go.
No doubt, man. Hey, good luck to all the local Middle Tennessee baseball teams that are still in it right now. Hey, go win, all right? But at all times, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.